Bow your heads, please. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for everyone that's here and for all those on the way and desire to be here. We ask that cooler heads provide and that everybody remember that this is all about the children. We ask that you keep us sane and keep us safe. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so we're going to open up first with public comment, and we ask that you approach the podium and speak clearly and state your full name for the record, and you'll be limited to 3 minutes, and I'll tell you when you have a minute left. So at this time, anybody that wants to be a part of public comment is welcome to come forward. Want everybody to get up at one time. All right.
Thanks, dear. My legal name is Bernard Cox III. I go by Bo. Just ignore what's on my shirt. I'm not representing the county. So I'll just say I don't know exactly. I guess it's just a workshop to see what the future will be between Bronson and the youth league for the private part of it. I'll just say I was part of the youth league before the town took part of it when it was private. I was part of it when the town ran it, and that's kind of when I stopped. The thing is that money's not going to fix the problem with the youth leagues. There's always been a problem with parents getting the help. Right? So the biggest thing is if Bronson should be with the youth league and how they help the youth league, they should be pretty much similar to what Chiefland and Williston's doing. Right now, the city of Williston, they just maintain the fields or the facilities. That's all the help the youth league gets. But they are restructuring in a couple weeks to change that. So they did ask. One of the council members asked, if you guys, before anybody makes a big decision, give them their restructuring in 2 weeks. Let them restructure, then they'll give you an outline of what they have decided to do. But that's it. Like I said, I just don't think continuing to help. I know the original agreement was to help the youth league get started, contribute some money for X amount of years. I know that time is up. It's sink or swim kind of thing now. You're either proficient to run it or you're not. And if you're not, why is the town of Bronson continuing to help fund something that's not working? And so I agree, we need more stuff for the youth. I'm all about trying to help and give more programs for the youth. But I also think it should be done wisely and more efficiently. And that's it.
Anybody else? Please take this opportunity to speak up now, whether it's positive or negative, if it needs to be said, because obviously there's people with things to say because it's all over Facebook, it's on everything else. So we're giving everybody the opportunity. That's the purpose of this workshop. So if people have things they need to say, be it good or bad, or suggestions or whatever, it would give you an opportunity to get them out. But if we come to the meeting and we don't add to or say any of those things, then it doesn't really help. All right, and at this time we'll ask Angela and David to come and give us the status of the league. Yes.
Angela Lamb, President of the UIS.
David Lynn, Vice President.
So the league is running pretty well. We do need a lot more help. The funding that is run on has been, we've figured registrations in, we get some sponsorships from people. We haven't really gone out and asked for that. Ms. Deskin, who is our registrar, she did send letters out last year to several businesses, people who sponsor at the high school and others. We only got a minimal amount of response from that. But we try to utilize those funds to ensure that the players get uniforms, fields, the teams, equipment. And I gave you guys all what we pockets and loss that we did last year. I mean, I don't know what's so sad. We do need more help. Other people coming and being part of our meetings and getting input would be very useful. It doesn't have to be us here for BYS. BYS is a nonprofit. It's meant to be a rotating board of people. The board implements people in who are actively participating within the BYS organization. We have implemented several commissioners that are getting full, like they're going to be ordering uniforms, they're going to be the ones doing the team stuff. We're trying to make sure to implement it now, like the coaches, like the change will be coaches, then we go to the commissioner, then the commissioner comes to our board, because we do have a board. Currently, we're running on 4 members. There was a nomination for the 5th. She just doesn't want to accept it without knowing that she can be committed. So she is trying to see how the work schedule and what. Because if you're going to be involved at a higher level, you do have to be committed, and you have to know that you're going to show up when nobody else shows up.
And the help we need is not money per se, it's volunteers. I mean, yes, we do ask y'all for stuff, but we try to keep it to a bare minimum. We do try to maintain our own civic, what's the word? We try to, with what
We've asked all of the team fees from Act 4, that's basically it, that we've really requested from you guys, and the insurance for the year. And that insurance is just to ensure that no matter what sport, no matter what the kids are doing, excluding tackle football, because that was purchased as a separate insurance policy last year, because you don't know what's going to happen or not. Mr. Jones did great, we worked with him, it was great, we thought things were going to continue on into this season that way. It didn't work out like that. So no insurance has been purchased for that. But otherwise, with the insurance that we ask for at the beginning of the year, covers all of the teams that we expect to have, excluding Babe Ruth. Because when you participate in Babe Ruth, you pay it to them and straight to everything through them. So, I mean, I really don't know.
Okay, well, I know I looked through the papers that you sent us, and I got quite a few questions about some stuff, but I wanted to give Tyler and Miss Virginia a chance to ask questions if they have questions for us.
You got your question first.
I have a few questions. Because I looked at the inventory, and the first thing on the inventory is 20 football helmets, new and plastic. And if there are 20 new and plastic, why in the world did Mr. Taylor not get them?
There's actually some more than that in new. There's still new.
New and plastic, we're not talking about 2018, right?
Yes, however, we were told that come out of the box, new and plastic, they could be
Those are
used.
not new and plastic. I mean, they might be sitting in a warehouse somewhere, but they're not appropriate for, there's so much that's changed
The Scott
between
told us
2000
that they were.
No, they're not. And
So those helmets, the 20 helmets, new in the plastic, are not brand new helmets? They're
They're the same ones that
Did we
got
did the
from
town
Curtis.
purchase brand new helmets?
I purchased brand new helmets in 2018, 2019.
And so they were
And then
brand
were the
new,
ones
and they
that-
have not been used since then.
But what they're saying is that has the code changed since
Right, I
2018.
understand that.
not only has the code changed since 2018, but the fact that they've been sitting somewhere in a warehouse, shed, whatever, in the heat, they're not usable. They're just
Well,
flat out
some
not
of the ones,
usable.
these were the same helmets that were used last year. Mr. Jones.
You shouldn't have used them last year.
I understand your concern, that was not expressed to us. Mr. Jones, Timothy Jones, that was at the high school.
I know Mr.
Okay,
Jones.
he was our football commissioner. He was the one that did all the football stuff. He said the stuff was good, we were going with what he was. Because no, I'm not put to do football, and unless someone like Mr. Jones or Mr. Taylor stands up and says, I know what I'm doing, we have not done it, we have not tried to push it. It is a dangerous sport, and so we've been relying on the gentlemen who have been standing up saying that they think the information Nobody ever expressed that the helmets were unsafe or unusable. Mr. Taylor expressed he would like new white helmets, is what he said to us. Not that because they were unsafe or anything like that. That came about later when we said, well, we just purchased the insides of them. We had 20 helmets or more, 25 that we just got last season. Helmets that were used, that 25 on the roster that were used as of November of last year, got set in the building, and been sitting there since. That was expressed could be used again. If that was misinformation, I'm sorry. I was taking the information of the football commissioner. It was never expressed until he started being upset and being upsetting us that they were dangerous or should have been anything. That's when the contract shut, heard you say it. They said no, if they were still new, they were good until 2 years after they were moved after that. 2 seasons of play, and then we would move to refurbish that. So these had
I
only...
mean, legal, and Chiefland wants to buy
They're
every
still
one of them.
trying to buy them. They were trying to buy them immediately when this happened. They've been trying to.
He said he's already
But
going
that's,
to twice.
that is here nor
in
there.
there.
We would
Well,
have given them the equipment, unknowing that it was not good equipment. We would have given that to them had that
Well,
situation not.
since she asked you about the tackle football game, in the paperwork that you sent us, you said that 12 and under tackle football, 22 players, no registration fees, $200 in donations. So if they had a whole team and they played a season, what happened to the registration fee?
They did not pay registration because we were trying to allow football to happen because Mr. Jones was pushing it. We provided the season free of charge. Any player 12 and under that wanted to play got to play for free last season.
He thought
Completely
that would
free.
help build
That would
up
encourage
the
them to
sport.
play this season.
He said the next season you should have twice to 3 times the amount of people because all the ones you gave 2 for free should come back and then
And we said,
The ones
okay, we
that-
have equipment. He used the jerseys from the school, the jerseys, we have the pants and all of that. So there was not much to pay. We asked you guys to cover the insurance. We made sure the field was pretty tight and they got to play for free.
And I know that Coach Jones was eager to get
I heard him all that.
a season going and keep the same kids and, have something to bring up to middle school.
Yes.
So we wouldn't have a situation that's going on now.
Yes, exactly.
Well,
And we
he
were
thought
trying
the
to be
helmets were
supportive.
fine, he's the one that used them helmets and helped them change all the pads on them for the kids that use them that season. And he never said,
And
hey,
then, right, and then if he decided that he wasn't going to be here, he's moving.
They moved.
Yes, and so Mr. Taylor is the one that stepped up and said, look, he's not going to be here, I'll work with the kids, we'll do the same thing. And he was kind of trying to do the same thing, but then he became uninvolved at the school. So then there was a split between what was happening with us and the school, and then it just continued to spiral from there. We would have, unfortunately, we would have given them that equipment had the situation had not happened. When he came up there that day, we were set to still hand out equipment to all of those players.
So the helmets that you have on here, the 20 football helmets, the new in plastic, those are different from the ones that were used last year.
Yes, they are sitting in a storage building.
So the ones they used last year were not new helmets.
They were new when we took them out of the boxes. They were
There
new
was
refurbished. They were all sitting in boxes
75
still
helmets.
from the time that we.
Let me explain something about helmets. The life expectancy of a helmet is 10 years. You should have them reconditioned every 2 years, or it's safe to do it every year, to send them off at the end of the season, send them off the helmets that they use and have them reconditioned. So it's at the discretion, but the helmet's supposed to last 10 years, but I mean, you wouldn't just use them without getting them reconditioned. So if the helmet is in the box, the helmet that was purchased in 2018, if they haven't been used, they're on the list for 10 years.
Right.
But now if they've been used, they need to be reconditioned
every 1 or 2.
every 2 years, but every year when you should probably send them.
So I guess my question would be, if we hadn't had football in a while and we had brand new helmets, why do we give them the older helmets and not give them the new helmets?
No, they were all refurbished.
They were all.
So the ones still in the plastic are refurbished helmets, they're not brand new?
No, the helmets that I gave were brand new helmets. I have to look at the inventory. Because if they were in plastic, it was in boxes.
Yeah, they were all sealed in boxes.
Everything was
If the boxes were sealed, they probably would do help.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I thought when.
But then even with that, if they've been reconditioned, if they haven't been used, then they're still good. You're on the slate for the 10-year period.
Right.
Which was our understanding of it, because when we started doing this, they had not been used since Curtis had been reconditioned. So in our knowledge, they were brand new homes or.
And then the pads inside were starting to dry rot because they were plastic or rubber. And so we were replacing all them.
Because we
All
have
the pads inside the house.
And they sell replacement insides because that is something that occurs regularly.
When going through everything that you sent, like you can go through to look for the money, but there's one thing that's gonna be pointed out to you way before the money, and that's the lack of involvement. So many people have pulled their kids out of Bronson youth sports. Like even if you look from 23 to 24, so many kids have pulled out, and the ones that stayed, like I think you had 12 that didn't pay,
There's a lot that don't
12
pay every
that,
season.
12 that didn't pay, and 4 were refunded for not playing in 24. And
Well, that could have been where they signed up for softball and we didn't have softball last season or things like that. Or was it if it was under general?
it was,
No, but I mean, like she said, when I look at each one of the numbers that you send, there's every single registration, with maybe the exception, well, no, every single one that I looked at, you were, the lowest one that was off was there was a fall cheerleader. You got 15 girls. You were short $255, and that's the cheapest one. So if you're looking at that, and you're every year you have $500, $600, $700, $800 worth of people not paying,
I completely agree.
then you can't function with that because you still have to have equipment. You have to be able to pay for those things. And then the other thing, what concerned me too, is like the losses on concession is
for
ridiculous.
24,
Yes,
they had a loss
it is.
for.
Like, I don't understand
So
that.
moving forward, at our last meeting, we had already discussed that, and we agree, and it's already a conflict to buy the concessions, the amount we're losing, somebody having to be there for the doing of it and all that.
So you buy this stuff and it just goes to waste, like what happens to
No,
it?
so sometimes, like say, the whole thing of peanuts gets opened and it doesn't get sold, and if we don't have a concession for a few days, then it does go to waste. I don't know what to do with it, it was already open, so we decided to not do concessions. Moving forward, the commissioners are going to set up what they're going to do each season for concessions. Most of them have already agreed, they want to talk to food trucks. If we could get food trucks to come, they could come out, they could
That's
set
gonna
up
be a
their
revenue
own-
loss though. That's a
We're
that's
not
a
making
huge.
any
Yeah,
money
yeah,
off
yeah,
of
yeah.
it.
Right, that's my question. I don't understand why you're not making any money, even if you got 4 games that weekend and you just only went and bought for that weekend, so you didn't have all that waste, like concession. And honestly, at the school, that's how we fund our programs. We don't get money for anywhere.
But to be honest, it seems like there must have been theft somewhere in the concessions for 24, because in 23, y'all made $712 in profit on concessions.
24 is only halfway through the year also. We still have a whole other soccer hosting that we're going to do. We have baseball and softball, whatever happens, and all that stuff that is still, 24 is only up until now because we're only partway through the 24 year.
And there was, you also
And
did,
we do have some things to set in candy and stuff sitting at the park, waiting for the next.
But you're eating a lot of costs because if you paid for 25 uniforms and only 10 of those parents paid, then you just paid for 15 set of uniforms, then you have in a concession, you don't have no money coming.
I don't disagree, so my suggestion would be to not have a team. I mean, see, that's where
I mean, it was harsh and it took some getting used to it, but they couldn't get no uniform until they paid their money. Or they were gonna sign up to work the session or work it off or something, but
I understand.
I mean, as a nonprofit, you can't afford to pay that cost.
registrations and we worry about.
You got 2 years worth of losses just on your registration. So, and that was the other thing, is like, I looked and I couldn't find who is responsible for, your money. Like, you know, who's your,
It is me.
so you're the
I am
president and
the
the treasurer?
sole, I am the sole person on the account. It is me. All of the money comes.
So you
to
didn't
me.
carry over the profit from 23 on to 24 either, in your paperwork. I don't know.
Oh, because it's the basketball. It was in with the basketball and golf.
It's just, and I know I mentioned the people that didn't pay, but it's like, if you look at the registration, if you look at the income from 23 to 24, it's double in 23 and than what it is in 24.
Because we only have half a year. That doesn't include any of the fall season. We
So
still
you
have
just-
flag football, we still have all of soccer, we still have the cheerleading that's going. We also still have, we also still have this.
I'm sorry,
What are the sports that are happening now?
we currently have cheer, football, well, flag football, soccer, softball, baseball.
We still have all those.
What I mean is that back before y'all took the youth sports over, there was enough players in each age group to make more than one team.
I disagree.
To make
I completely disagree. I don't know. Somebody else in Curtis.
Well, I was
can
there.
speak on that?
I was there. I had kids. And let me tell you something. This year, this is the largest kindergarten class that went into BES this year. So there's a lot of kids.
Okay, so when Curtis first got hired, I was the first person to step up and volunteer. Okay, I've been here every single season since then, except one soccer season and one softball season. I've been out here coaching since then. When did you start?
Only because there's not a.
13 years ago?
And there are other people such as
Until my
right
age,
now with
about
soccer,
2012,
Mr. Curran,
2013.
he's coaching.
Okay.
He's
Going into fall
trying to keep the
2013.
away from soccer
Since
because we've got
2013,
people who
I've
are-
been on this field except for 2 seasons. I've watched how this goes.
Are you talking about soccer?
No,
I'm talking about
all
this whole
sports
thing.
in
Okay.
general.
The only thing that I haven't been involved with here is football, to this day, because I don't think it's safe, I am not qualified.
And
to
that's the
coach.
only sport that he didn't have several teams, enough of kids to play several teams, and then they scrunched ages together.
I
I
completely
sat
disagree.
at that school.
Stop, Scott, just stop. You guys can feel however you want. I'm sorry, we have fielded teams, we've done everything we can. We have extended our registrations, we've done. If you think it's us, then by all means, do whatever you need to do. We had a
Well-
board of people. People
Well,
could have come to the meeting last week where we were trying to get new board members. This is how many people showed up to that meeting that was advertised. Okay? So, I mean, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, you getting defensive, but it wasn't about that. Like, what I was specifically asking about is the way it's being run. It's like, you're not helping yourself. Even with what you're collecting, like you work in yourself, but y'all ended up going in a hole. And so eventually, if you keep having to cover the cost of registrations and the cost of everything for that, you're not gonna be able to pay for any of that.
Right, that's why the city got.
So that's the problem.
We took it over.
So if I have 10 basketball teams and I pay for half of them myself out of my pocket, and then I'm not making any money, and then I don't have a concession stand,
If we don't have the teams at all, then we are. So if that's the case, then I'm not sure how to move forward. We've asked more people to be involved so we can help grow that capacity. The number of people that are actively being involved and coming here to grow capacity versus just going somewhere else because they think the grass is greener. I
It
can't
may be
control
less
that.
chaotic somewhere else. It may be less.
What chaos? I don't understand. Like recently, people don't have to deal with us. We have put Dustin in charge of registrations. So everybody that calls me, I basically give them one number. Contact Dustin. When it comes to the sports, Coach Ryan is doing soccer now. Coach Dustin is basketball. Jawanda isn't here, but she is cheerleading. Scott is still doing baseball and softball because the other guy for baseball is supposed to be Matt Myers, but we're still trying to see because currently, I don't know, people say they're going to be somewhere and they can't be there. Sometimes that's, that happens. Sometimes.
Gotta make sure they're gonna be there.
So, I mean, And we're trying to step out so that it's not us. We're trying to put other people in place so that if the chaos is coming from us, then that should alleviate that.
And,
I don't,
and the people that are saying this chaos needs to quit putting anonymous
and stand up, come to these meetings
Because
and actually speak up about what we've done.
I'm done defending myself to somebody that's called anonymous.
Right.
And listen, I'm not anonymous.
No, you're not, and I appreciate that.
I absolutely loathe anonymous people.
I mean,
The whole
really
group can
appreciate
stay
it.
away from me. But,
But that's the conflict I have. Now is the opportunity for them to all come and say exactly what we're doing is wrong, that is the chaos, that is what they think is wrong. And why is nobody standing here speaking to you on such and wrong things? I mean,
I would ask that the way that you guys have a board, like you really need a real board. Because you leave yourself liable for those things. There should be multiple people on the, right, but I asked you earlier, let me finish what I was gonna say about the way the money is handled and that kind of stuff. When you just have your name on it and nobody else's name is there, when it says you got 22 kids and you're missing $1,000 worth of registration, that ain't a good look.
No,
So I'm not accusing you of anything, but I'm telling you is when I went through these numbers today and I went through every single one, every single registration, money is missing.
We were missing
So
7 to
without a,
10, excluding cheerleading, we miss 7 to 10 registrations every season guaranteed, sometimes more than that.
so
That's the only way we can build teams. If this team has 7 players and we only need 2 more to make it a team, we cover 2 more team fees. When you do that for 4 teams, that adds up to 8 players right there.
Or we tell everybody to
Or we
go
tell
home and
everybody to
give
go home.
everybody their money.
We have combined teams, so, you know, and we've had 8 to 12-year-olds all playing on a softball team so that, everybody had paid, everybody wanted to play, go
I
ahead.
mean, if y'all go back and look at y'all's information on your registrations prior to us, you'll see
We're running
that there was a
similar-
lot of comp written on them papers.
I can tell you it wasn't because I was doing it before the town was and they didn't get no uniforms, they get things.
Now, the reason.
I'm just
that
telling you, it
just
wasn't
me,
like
I
that.
will-
And we started out like that, and then if they knew their kid couldn't get a uniform, then the money appeared, or we worked out something where they paid for it. If you need people, they need to be working,
Well, I'm
because
gonna
it's
be
not
honest.
fair to parents
I got
who give up their
Yes, I
money.
got tired of asking people for sponsorships for players, and so we just started.
No, but if as a parent, I have kids and I can't afford for my kids, I don't have the money, then I can afford to work an hour in a concession stand. I can afford to come out and help with the help, because that doesn't cost me
I
anything.
agree, but
So-
that's still gonna cost the organization. So,
But what you need is, what you said is you need help, you need volunteers,
Yes,
so.
no, I'm not disagreeing, that does balance it, but it still doesn't show a change in the money. We're still having a loss of money because we still allow those people to play. We do have parents, coaches, for example, several coaches have said, hey, I coached the season or 2, and so you can.
Bless you.
This season, don't worry about it. Now, the reason that it's me solely on there is because when this started, we weren't sure what was happening, what was going on, and there were not a lot of people involved, and we weren't sure who we could trust. So I said, I will take responsibility of it, and I was, for the past few years, I've acted as director, is how it was put. And then when we
You
finally.
wear a lot of hats.
Yes, unfortunately. When we finally got some more involvement with new board members, then we went away from that and we started doing it where I'm the president and we have the vice president and everybody acts as their role. We have one open seat that has been nominated to someone, but like I said, she is not sure if she wants that much responsibility because it is a lot.
It says in your inventory you have 22 basketballs, but I know for the last couple of years, some of the teams were either using basketballs when they played at the school, the kids were bringing their own
It's
basketballs.
because they didn't come up to the park and get them out of the way.
But I mean, if they haven't practiced at the gym, why not bring the basketballs to the gym?
It's my responsibility. to bring
It's your
basketballs.
director, somebody's
But I'm not
responsibility.
getting paid. This is
Neither are your coaches.
volunteer.
I'm just saying, if you rather them just sit in the shed like that, so just make sure they get the basketball. That's all I'm
So
saying.
that's why other people need to be involved, so that Angela and David are not the only ones who have to take on.
Right, but you told me you have a director. That's what I'm saying, that's the director's
Yes,
job.
and
For
I did
basketball?
that. No.
That's what I'm saying.
Destin this past season. Destin was the commissioner that was responsible, but unfortunately, she works a job and doesn't get off until 5:30, so we had to have the key there sometimes. Because our commissioner couldn't fulfill her responsibilities, so
That
we
was
stepped up.
That was another thing too, because you said that the things that you needed from the town.
That list, the list wasn't supposed to be included. It was included in the past.
Oh.
That is just a thing that I re-advised that I had given to you guys previously.
Well, the list was, I noticed one of the things on there was y'all said that the prisoners need to
We're
paint
hoping, yes, insides of the buildings.
and I can tell you that my oldest has played on several travel teams, and that's always the very first thing that they do as a team is paint their dugouts and their buildings.
So when the prisoners are allowed to take all of the water that our children unloaded into that building, I feel like they should be responsible for cleaning the side of the building.
I'm gonna step in with that.
Wait a
Now,
minute,
that
hold
was
on.
before a time that I came. I think the water that FEMA,
Oh,
just
okay.
when somebody else had it, I guess the water was in the concession stand and they was drinking. You can't sell it. You can't do anything with it. So I guess they drunk some of the water at that time.
They drank all the water.
60-some cases.
Right, you can't sell it.
Yeah,
It was-
Right,
it doesn't
but
matter,
they're related
because it
with
doesn't belong, it's FEMA, so it goes to the town.
It goes to the
Right, but
no,
each
the
team
fire,
was getting a case
the
for
kids
like
went,
practice.
yeah, the kids
They
went
were
up to
getting
the fire
it.
department and loaded, the kids and Mr. Arnold went up to the fire department and loaded cases up so they would be at a concession for the teams when they were having practices. Or when we had concessions, the players and coaches, people could have the water when they were up there. And the prisoners drank like 60 cases.
There's 3 pallets of water at the fire station. You can have only
But I just went up there and got
If
water
they're
and brought
allowed-
out there
when we
from the
asked
fire
Sue about
department.
the water, she told
Hold on,
us
let me see, they ain't never drank no 3 cases, no 60 cases of water. They'd be floating away if they did.
So,
You can't use the concessions because you have to clean it first because they were using it. But when we complained to Sue, she told us there was nothing that could be done because they were working on
What are you talking about, the concession stand?
it. Yes.
If you go look in there now, those inmates went in there and cleaned up themselves. Now, when you all had stuff, now see, that's why I don't want to get involved because I work for the town, but listen, don't bring the inmates in this, and don't bring me.
No, I'm just saying.
Don't, please don't. I don't want to argue, but don't blame because it's a lot of, listen, please, I don't want to get involved because I'm with the town.
part of what Sherry is saying though is, as another mom, same with Virginia, that when you do those things like that, that's how you build a team. Throwing 5 people together does not make a team. Having them work together, all of my kids play sports. 2 of them have numerous college scholarships, and every single one they will tell you was, it's not even their playing ability. It is their teamwork and their ability to adapt. And that comes from Sherry as a coach, the old Bronson coaches,
So if I'm
and
not the
Gainesville.
coach, doesn't that fall on the coaches?
No, all I'm saying is, the reason why I said it was because it just shows you that when you sit back and you say, okay, that's not my job, that's not my job, that's not my job, I'm not getting paid to do that, I'm not gonna take off work for that, but then you're ultimately held responsible for everything you just said you're not doing, and then you're pointing fingers at people you're saying they should be
No, I
doing
agree.
something.
It was
and-
expressed to us as things that the park needed to be done or fixed.
When you're
and
building
things were available.
teams-
I just thought that was something that they would be available.
When you're building
I'm sorry.
teams, you will do anything on your own or get
And
your
I've been
team to
doing
do
that
it.
for 5 years, and so the people that are complaining haven't stepped up to help, so I don't know what else
We
to
do
say.
team bonding and stuff as well.
I mean,
Yes, I know y'all do team bonding stuff, but I'm saying that there are missed opportunities that can be turned into team bonding. I'm saying that sitting back and saying, okay, well, the prisoners need to do this and the prisoners
Well,
need
the
to do
only
that.
reason why she mentioned the prisoners on that is because the last guy that was running them, I'm not sure what his name is, he drove a Jeep. Him and his wife both drive painted Jeeps. Me and him talked up there, and he said, hey, if you get it all cleaned out, get some paint, I could probably have them guys paint it up.
we were told.
What's
to do
the
things
key word though?
differently.
Probably. See, y'all,
Right.
see, y'all gotta understand.
I never said
I'm
they
trying to
shouldn't
help
do
you. I'm
it.
trying to help you out, man. Listen, because if there's anything that we can do, because right now I have the inmate work for the last 2 months. Anything that we can do, but this time of year, guess what they're doing?
Mowing
They're
grass.
mowing and
And the park, how does the park look?
That's good.
See, so that's where we spending our time doing that, doing the streets, doing the stuff, all other kind of stuff that we're doing. You know, I don't want to be.
And I was never saying they should do it. I was asking if they could.
Yeah, but having the attitude of, that's not my job, or sitting back and saying, okay, well, isn't that the coach's job? But you're supposed to be the director, so if the coach is gonna get any kind of direction, it's gonna be
If
from
the
you.
coaches don't take advantage of those opportunities, Virginia, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to still arrange it and tell them they have to when they're saying they don't want to? I mean, I arrange all the homecoming parades.
Getting basketballs to the gym is not
Man,
my
I have to
sport.
work. I have a job just like everybody else, and sometimes I can't get from Gainesville before 5:30. I'm sorry.
I mean, you're right. If y'all want somebody else to do
Don't
this.
you please
Yeah,
have
that's
a, you
something
have a
I
meeting,
have.
you have a meeting every year before the season starts, right?
Yes. we
So
just had
then
it.
we give out, you could give out equipment during that meeting because they have to
We
come
were
out there for
trying to
that.
have it, and that's the night Mr. Taylor had a fit about the whole thing, and said he was leaving, and told everybody to leave. We were giving out equipment. This season for soccer, Mr. Curran's giving out equipment. For basketball, Dustin's gonna be responsible for equipment. We already said, we're not taking it anymore. If you guys want to be commissioners, you guys would be involved, please do this. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry. I can stand up there with him all day, but I do have a job. I'm a human being, just like everybody else in this town. I'm a volunteer. I do not get paid for this.
No.
I do it because I want to see the kids do it. I do it because of stuff like us actually getting girls to the World Series. I do it because we have 4 teams of basketball player and 2 squads of cheerleaders. I do it because several of those cheerleaders are now playing on the varsity squads at the high school that maybe they wouldn't even have had an exposure to cheerleading had we not done it. So I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry.
If I could point something out, so my husband and I, last season, there wasn't a coach for 10U up until like a week before practice was supposed to start. I signed my husband up, I said, you know what, our kids need us, let's go ahead and do this. So he signed up to coach soccer, 10U or 8U. Then he saw how much the kids were loving it, how much fun they were having, how much fun our boys were having, getting to know all the other kids in our area. He said, let's go ahead and get next season ready. So he and I have been out there all summer long, 3 days a week with kids for free. We bought our own equipment. We did everything that we could do. We even painted the fields by ourselves. So that way all the kids in the community who wanted to play soccer could come out. And you know what that turned into? That turned in from a bunch of kids from Williston saying, I want to come back to Bronson. We had maybe, like 10, 15 kids sign up in the past week because they wanted to come back to Bronson.
Yeah, they
Because
felt it.
we care and we're trying and we're new to this. I mean, you know, there's only so much we can do in a short amount of time, but we're trying. So to hear the talk of, well, what's even happening here? I mean, we're getting parents involved. We have people who want to sponsor. Like, we're getting out there into the community, and we're also getting other parents hyped up too. Like, it's, you know.
It's been very difficult to get people to join up.
Yes.
We've been at this all summer long, 3 days a week. You know, I've lost a few pounds from it. It's, you know, but we've remained dedicated to do it. We've had semi-pro players come out for the kids.
And that's all coming out of our time, you know, so
Yeah, we've made it.
we're trying very hard to help turn this around. So it's, at this point, it's kind of unnerving to hear all this bashing when she said from the get-go that she needs help. And so
We had
we
more
stepped up
parents
to
that
help.
have done what we do, and Coach Amanda and my wife have done, then we would have the best league in the whole area. It's just, I agree, we need more help. There's only so much that we can do. I mean, I've watched it, she, at all the meetings, hey, who wants to help? Nobody raises their hand. You know, there's only so much that we can do, but if nobody comes out to help. I mean, the city had an event, 4th of July. What happened there? They left all the goals there. Guess what we did? My wife and my 2 boys, we went out there by ourselves and moved all the goals back because the city didn't want to come back and move them. So So if we don't have the help,
On their defense, it did rain, so it's wet, so.
But,
well,
I mean,
they're still sitting in the same spots. The city left them there. I mean, it's still in the same spot. So if we're not getting the help that we need, and to be honest, you know, I could name a list of things that we need financially as far as for soccer. If we don't have the equipment that we need, how can we teach the kids to play? How can the kids want to come play? It's like, you know, it's like a catch-22. Like, you don't have the equipment, how can you not, like, you know?
I will
so-
speak on that because I'm the one that pays stuff, and unless I get a request, I can't do it. I've been here 3 years, I've gotten one request.
Okay, well, as a
One
new
request
commissioner,
for-
you'll get a lot more requests. from me.
Right, that's
I
it.
promise you
We
that.
have so much money that's allocated, am I wrong? I have a list, 1 year. We pay our insurance, we pay our league fees, but unless it is brought to us by David Angela, we're not gonna, the city's not gonna give anything.
Okay.
The city, and there's this misconception that the city doesn't help. It's not that the city does not help. The city has to be notified. The city, and they can't be notified October 1st because that's your budget in, so it has to be
Well, how fast is
notified.
the turnaround? Because we asked the city for help, we sent in letters for help to come help with our goals. We had a camp run all summer, the kids couldn't play with the goals, we had to move the goals back ourselves, so what's the turnaround?
I will tell you that I've never received any of those, and I'm the one that cuts it.
I just saw a letter, I guess, yesterday from an email.
That's what I
Sent,
saw.
who sent the letter that we got yesterday?
No, I mean, this letter was sent
It
with,
was June the 20th?
no,
It just got to the, it just got to the town of Bronson yesterday.
Yeah, that's what you guys are failing to realize, is that you guys may send that letter January. If council and the employees don't get it until 2 days ago,
but they moved the goals, but they don't have any inclination to think that maybe they should move them back without us having this.
It's not inclination of moving them back, we moved them with the backhoe, and we could wet rub the fields up. Another thing, all you gotta do, if you see me out there with the inmates, you see, all you gotta do is come to me, and I will tell you.
Well, I've been out there the whole time. I
Have you
haven't
never seen
anybody. I haven't, not all summer, I haven't seen anybody.
Okay, I
I mean,
don't know, after 3:30, you probably won't see me.
Okay, well, that makes
But,
sense.
but all you have to communicate, because I call Dave and say, hey,
And
we
see,
here to do
and
anything
that's part
that
of
we
it.
can.
Yeah,
To help
well,
out.
if we can communicate, if I can communicate with you,
Call,
get the help.
call the town hall, but if you, somebody sending a letter anonymous or whatever, because I saw a letter like,
I would rather go in person, that's
Oh,
what.
yeah.
and you're
see
more
me
than
flag it
welcome
out.
to, any of that. Pick up
but
the
this is
phone
the
and
thing,
call.
with equipment, that the county gives probably $2,500 to $5,000, but they don't, they gotta go and request what they need.
Yeah.
They can do it uniform. So it's a lot of stuff, so, seems like to me it's a lot of stuff happening, but nobody's communicating.
Yeah.
If everybody's communicating like they did with the
I just assumed
letter,
that if someone moved something, they would move it back.
no, this is the thing, but it was raining, when you got there with the backhoe.
But it's been 2 months.
No,
Fourth of
this-
July.
4th of July.
Late right now.
What is, what month is this?
We're pretty.
So it's not 4 months.
Okay, no, I didn't say.
And this, and this is another thing, okay, because I asked, I said, when are y'all getting ready to start? Because I got a complaint about, I guess, cheating football players, I don't know, they practice there, leaving water bottles or they stuff on the field, we go out there, we clean it up. You know, so, I understand what it takes to run parks and that. But I do understand this, that communication, 1 or 2 people can't do it.
Yeah. Well,
Because what's gonna happen, the people that's doing it gonna become frustrated because all the pressure is on them and everybody else use it for a drop-off babysitting. So that can't happen either. So it's gotta be where communication from the top to everybody, and gotta be on the same page.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, did you all talk before y'all came here?
We talked.
Did y'all talk before y'all came?
Like, what,
So you had a
minutes?
plan, about 5 minutes, but see, you want them to make a
I mean, I said,
determination.
are you asking 5 minutes or an hour?
I'm
How
saying,
long are you talking? You talking
y'all
today?
communicate. I'm saying, you guys talk and have a plan. So if you come and everybody's saying something different, then how they gonna receive it? But I'm saying, if you all get together with the parents that wanna do
That
something,
makes sense. I was just referring to the goal
Okay.
when someone.
I was just asking.
You know, I just, usually when someone moves something, they put it back. That's just, I don't
But he
understand why
gave,
we have to request.
but that's a thing though, you assume that they didn't, you said they didn't want to move them back. Well, it wasn't what they didn't want to move them back, it's the circumstance that it was gonna do more damage to the field than was gonna help to put them back. So instead
They're
of
still in
using the
same spot.
backhoe and
They're
putting
still
it in
the
there.
same spot though.
Okay,
Like I said, my
tomorrow-
wife and my boys, we moved most of them back, but they're very heavy.
They'll be taken care of
tomorrow. I appreciate that. Thank you. That's what I need.
And they have other soccer equipment as well, so you're saying you need stuff. I see a training ladder, I see cones, I see all kinds of stuff on their list. So if y'all aren't using this stuff because you're buying equipment, then what's happening to the stuff they?
Oh, no, we're definitely using what's there, but it's a bare minimum. So, I mean, I could prepare a list.
But from what I understand, the only thing that's been purchased is for soccer. From what I understand. So all the basketball parents, the volleyball parents, the baseball, the softball parents.
All that stuff should have been in an inventory that you guys purchased. And
No,
then
I'm
we asked
saying-
the county for.
I'm saying, from what I understand, all you have gotten is from the city to purchase is soccer equipment, right?
No, we paid out of pocket.
They paid out.
You should, that's what she's saying, is that you shouldn't have to have pockets because they have access to money for equipment, not just from the town, but from the county as well. But if they don't get a request for it, you're not gonna get
It
it.
was for our free camp, the one we decided to put on to help bring out more kids and stuff.
But as a coach, if you're coaching for soccer for there, then the equipment should be there.
Yeah, it was basic. We bought some soccer balls, and it wasn't like we spent
I think the point she means is that was off
That's the
season,
reason.
technically it wasn't for BYS.
Yeah.
I think that's the point that
She was just trying to grow.
Yeah.
She was just trying to help grow BYS by doing something
And we
separate.
have, you asked Williston, they've lost a lot of their players because of this camp. I don't
So-
know, their roster's looking a little rough. I don't know what to say.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I've been helping with BYS since 2021, the fall of 2021. And I've seen a lot of parents like them that step up, purchase things, try to get community involvement, coach, get really excited about helping. And then unfortunately get discouraged by the disorganization or the lack of communication, or
Can you
not.
clarify what this organization is?
Well, like I
Let her
personally
finish.
stepped
Let her
up
finish.
because they, not everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. These two people, very dedicated to the children, very dedicated to the community, want to coach, will coach literally 3 teams in a season, individually, just because they want to make sure that these kids can play. Not as coordinated with keeping track of rosters or like making things into organized looking charts, whatever. And even organizing the teams into things. They'll make schedules and they'll get by, but everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. So I stepped up and helped because I was like, hey, let me help you with a few spreadsheets. Let me help you with registrations. Let me help you with whatever. And little by little, I just kept helping more and more. And if I noticed that they were lacking in something, I said, let me help with this. Whereas I've noticed that even when we don't agree on things, we've had multiple disagreements where I don't agree with the way that they choose to run something, but I continue to show up and help. And that's something that I've noticed is very different from some other people, whereas they'll get frustrated. This board that they keep talking about, I've met one of the people one time. I've seen one person, she only shows up on home soccer game days. And like,
You don't know Kim Woodward?
the last year and a half, I've seen her twice.
When she did the sign up, she got seen her twice. She's the one that.
That was last fall, all the way, it was the summer, last summer. She did registrations.
A season in between them, which was basketball and spring.
She did, during the summer, she did 3 registration dates for last fall. But then we had winter registrations, nobody helped me with. And then we
Was your
had,
basketball teacher?
right, and then we had spring, which I did. Which again, that's fine, that's what I stepped up to help with. I'm not complaining about that, I'm just saying that this board of people, Arnold shows up at every single home game. And he does things and is actively involved, but I have never seen him at a board meeting. Like, I've only been to 2 board meetings in the whole time that I've been here. I've only heard of 2 board meetings.
He was sick last time he sent his wife in the
No, and I understand that things happen, but not one member of that board was at that meeting we just had on Thursday, except these 2, which again, they show up, they continue
Kim's
to
car
do.
broke down, that's why she's not here now. She sent that in the group to you personally.
No, and I understand that
But
things
yes,
happen.
and then we have, like I said,
So-
we have one more active role that we're trying to find somebody that will be showing up.
I'm not even on the board. and
What's the
I've been
solution? Can we just come up with a
That's
solution?
what-
I mean,
thing.
we're gonna be here all night.
So, I'm gonna commend anybody who volunteers and does anything with the kids. I'm passionate about the youth, love them to death, do anything for them. Like I said, in my 3 minutes that you led for public meeting or public speaking. You can't throw money at a problem when it involves people volunteering. No matter what you do, you're not going to fix it. You can throw all the money. Because right now, what it sounds like to me, the town of Bronson is paying a lot of it, and you're letting a nonprofit run it. You can't fix it if you ain't got the people to come. It's one of the reasons when I stepped out of youth league, you know, I coached your son. It's part of him as he was growing up through it. I coached after my kids were stopped and were too old to play there. I stopped. When I stopped is when there was a point where there's not enough parents committed to help grow it. I will commend them too for everything they've done. They have tried hard. But you're not gonna just keep throwing money at it, and it's not gonna get people to mysteriously, miraculously volunteer. That is the problem. And it's just not here, it's everywhere. But the other youth programs that are doing a little bit better than Bronson, they have a little bit more committed communities or whatever. I'm not talking about Bronson.
There's no pride in Bronson anymore. I don't know if they're.
But
I've been here
Even
20
last
years,
meeting
it never
here-
has been.
Even in the last meeting here, you guys were.
What?
It's no, let me rephrase that before Virginia. There's not as much,
That's a lie.
there's pride, I guess there's not a lot of community involvement.
I would say to come out on, let's say, the soccer camp and see how much pride.
It's not pride, there's not a lot of community involvement.
I mean, to
My
say that in
kids-
front of my kids when they're really proud to be
There's
part
not a
it,
lot of
it's
community,
sad.
if you would let me finish, I would rephrase what I'm saying. It's not that there's not pride, there's not a lot of community involvement. Regardless if you guys run it, Curtis runs it, somebody else runs it. If you run on volunteers, and you don't have dedicated volunteers, it's going to fall apart. That is not your fault, that's not the town's fault, it's not your parents' fault. It's finding people that are dedicated. Chiefland is lucky, they've had lead for 20 years. You have certain people and it works. But when you have, there's a whole bunch of things that break things down. Communication, money on a certain level, volunteers, unless you have people that can work together, and like she said, you find somebody that you're good at this, you're good at that, you're good at this, it works. But when people don't commit and people back out, it's going to fall apart because one person can't do 5 jobs. I don't care if you're Superwoman,
But
you're
you
run
also-
out.
You also can't create an atmosphere that is chaotic and then be like, well, nobody's showing up, nobody's coming to help, nobody's helping me,
Right.
because they don't want to deal with the chaotic whatever. You have to create an atmosphere where people want to help, people want to get engaged, because we don't have thousands of dollars being thrown at a new coach in Bronson. It just ain't happening. We just don't have it. And I can tell you, the fact that y'all just said, your family just said that y'all went and bought soccer equipment because you didn't have soccer equipment, I promise you, that type of family is far and few to find, because I can tell you seasons where there were kids who did not have a basketball at home and was playing basketball on the rec team. You know, like, and it's because
Everybody involved.
and it's because their parents just, they were, you know, they pulled up and dropped them off at practice and went and did whatever they wanted to for an hour.
Right, but where's he sitting now with the
Right.
volunteers?
I mean, I'll go with the old quote, you know,
They
if
keep
you build it, they will
equipment
come.
for
I mean, if you go out to a field that doesn't have any lines on it, if you go out to a field that doesn't have, you know, new nets, you go out to a field, they don't have new ball, you make the kids feel good about themselves, like what we've been doing, giving them some new balls, making putting the lines on the field. I mean, you know, when they go out there so that they can feel like they're on a real field.
And
When you actually build it, they will come. If
So
you
let me
don't
ask
build it,
you
they
a
won't come.
question. So let me ask you a question. When you say that stuff, are you under the impression that that is being communicated to the city? Because the way it comes across is the city is aware of it. The city cannot fulfill those needs if the city is not aware of it. That is what I'm trying to
That's not what I
say.
was saying. I didn't, that's not.
But
what I
no,
was
but that's how it's coming,
But-
and I'm not arguing, but do you understand what I'm saying is that people, when they say those things of, well, this, we don't have this, we don't have that, it comes across in the way it's being portrayed.
No, I mean, I was saying those basic things that I was able to take care of, because painting the field and buying soccer balls is pretty basic.
It is, and all of that stuff the city has,
And
and the
that
city
little-
has provided
But
some of
this
that
I'm
stuff.
is
not saying
also
you
like
did.
it's not even our first full year there. We just wanted to be gung ho about it. We didn't
Right.
want to ask anything like that.
But
We
that's
just
what we
wanted
want
to get
everybody to be signing up for rec ball. We want everybody to be gung ho. But we have lost so many players, so.
But we're working
And you're
on
getting
getting
so
a
many
lot of
players.
we're
I mean, you'll see the
working on getting
soccer-
a lot of players.
Even
that
the people who were dedicated to committed to helping our program have taken their kids and gone elsewhere.
Yes.
Like, I mean,
But we're working on bringing those kids
No, I
back.
can't speak
Like,
for the
for
other soccer, I mean,
For
anyway, we
soccer,
are
at
getting a lot
least,
of
we
players.
were able to
We
reach
had to bring
a
40
bunch
at
of
the
kids
gym.
and get them excited to come back to Bronson.
that same
And
thing has happened in
for
some
us
other schools
personally,
before.
like the reason that we're doing this is for our boys, because we want to teach them the lesson of, if you're not happy, change something and make your, make
Exactly.
it a happy thing.
Be the change you
Don't
want to
run
see.
away to another team, fix the
And that's all,
situation, rather
that's
than
all
run
that
away.
we're trying to teach our boys, not trying to.
I mean, that's what happened.
No, she can't see you, baby. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I got a question for you.
As far as trying to build programs, we're talking about task-related options, right? We know that there needs money to have these tasks, but something that's not a task is the volunteering and building strong volunteers. Have you ever thought of the concept of possibly having some sort of seminar or coaching session for coaches and parents of coaches, as opposed to just letting them go and appreciate their volunteer time, but and something that helps, just throwing that out.
We had coaches
Okay.
and the coaches that asked for it didn't even show up to attend it. Other people showed up, and then I ended up getting a couple of new coaches because there were parents out there, and I encouraged them to go just attend it because we paid for it. It's
So are your
Yeah, that was
coaches
a-
getting certified, like,
for Babe
to
Ruth,
coach?
they have
for-
to. Yeah.
Oh, so they don't have to do that for anything else?
Not for soccer. no.
Okay.
They do the background check and
And
that
that's
for
it?
Babe Ruth, yeah. And then if they volunteer and they're willing to come be a coach, if they pass the background check, we allow them to do that. I'm not telling people they can't coach, I'm not trying to.
That's not learning how to coach and
Well,
learn
as
how
far
to
as soccer, I
parents.
will speak on that
Look-
point. As far as the soccer is concerned, I am going to be implementing some new standards as far as coaching when it comes to who wants to volunteer. Having versus trying to fix that problem, just having anybody come in and then, just somebody not know what they're doing. That's why I'm running the camps. I mean, I even offered it to the parent, anybody who wants to come out, work with us during the camps, during the off season. That way we can train and we can teach you some of the things that we've learned. Like I said, I had a semi-pro player come out. And he's volunteering to just help us out this whole season. And, so he's been helping with that as well. So, it's just a matter of trying to get, more people to volunteer for the coaches, but I am, going to be offering that going forward. for
But I
anyone who
will
wants
say
to.
it's like a domino effect because a lot of parents have stepped up to us, like, what can we do to help? We've had a lot of parents see us volunteering and they're like, I want to help too. So then we, find different things. So it's
Yeah, it's like paving
we're
the
working,
way,
we're working.
Probably
on it,
because
yeah.
you're creating an atmosphere where people want to be involved.
And that's what
Exactly.
And that's great, but they're,
And one day he might be the president of all this.
Right.
That's
because
the
he's
point
involved,
of this.
because-
But it's the thing though, if you compliment them and they're good workers and good employees, good volunteers, and you need people to step up on the board that are gonna be committed, then why not ask him to be on the board? Like right now, hold on, let me finish. Like I said, it needs to be different people over other stuff because that's another thing with the communication. If you're doing 16 other things and you can't look at the registration and realize, well, we got 15 kids who didn't pay, you don't got time for that. So there should be a person that's responsible for certain stuff. It shouldn't be only Angela on the bank account, or it shouldn't be only Angela doing this X, Y, and Z. If you guys are on the board, then technically you shouldn't be directors over nothing because your responsibility is to be over the directors. So when you have these strong people, like they strong people, having them over soccer is a good thing. But you need equally strong people over all the other stuff or it doesn't work. Over the finances, over the registration, and the communication is not good. So that's also another thing. Like, for example, my nephew played on the T-ball team. It was like Thursday, and it's like, oh, we're going to play in a tournament on Saturday, and then we're not going to play in a tournament on Saturday, and then in all honesty, they had too many games. They was playing like 3 times a week, and you talking about 5 and 6 year olds. Like that come from community, and then it's last minute. Oh, we over here and we over there. So then we go all the way to where was it? Micanopy, and then they never come to Bronson. And so it's like on a school night, 5 and 6 year olds playing at night over there. Those are not things you do with little kids. So stuff like that is the organization and the communication. Those are things that can be fixed. So we learn.
Unfortunately, the game situation, you have to play with who has teams, who has availability and stuff.
So
like
we have
that.
to jump up and play in tournaments on the weekend,
They
or we got to
already
play.
knew. I'm sorry about that, but they knew about the tournaments. from
They're
the beginning.
all off
of
the
those
list of
things.
tournaments before the season,
Yes, at the
season
very
even
beginning of the
starts.
season,
And
that
they
was
get to
on
choose
their
which
schedule.
tournaments they want.
Well, we didn't know about, I coach T-ball, so we didn't know about the tournament. So I'm just gonna say that we didn't know about the tournament until it was about, can I finish talking, please? Thank you. So we didn't know about the tournament until it was maybe like a couple weeks before. And even when we found out about the tournament, we didn't know what type of tournament it was. You know, we thought it was okay, we're just gonna go out here and have fun. We didn't realize they were gonna come out with a whole all-star, they got their lineup, they come out, they theme songs and all that kind of stuff.
Beautifully
So, yeah. So like, when it comes to communication, that's where it kind of lacks. Like I would have liked to know, you know, like what type of team we were playing, or like what type of tournament we were going to be in. Because if you go from playing Archer, where we just go out there and just have fun, you know, to, wait a minute, it's structured. Now we got to like come out here and really know what we're doing. Like it makes our kids feel bad because they're getting like whooped. And so like, that's just what I'm like, communication wise, I would like to know, you know, what are we getting ourselves into? My husband and I come from Gainesville to coach. And it's because we want to make sure that one, our baby plays on a team with a coach that knows what they're doing. And two, that they actually have a coach. So, I mean, that's dedication on our behalf. So like, you do have people who are dedicated and who do put in time and our own money to do things as well. So, you know, I wasn't gonna say nothing, but I just had to say that.
That's something I've noticed too, is that the transition, because they do so much and wear so many hats, the transition from one season to another is hard on them and hard on the organization as a whole, because they are the ones that do the schedules and get all of the games set up, and like all I did was step in and help with registrations to try to alleviate some things, but they need other people to, like, you know, I don't know.
And that's what I'm saying is fix it doesn't matter who runs it. You're never gonna have enough volunteers because you can just never have enough. But the stuff that you can fix need to be fixed. The lines of communication can be fixed. The way the money is done and it's accounted for can be fixed. The way the equipment gets out can be fixed. Those are things that can be fixed.
How's it broke? How's the money broke?
Well, first of all, you're losing more money than you're taking in. That's not a positive thing. Second, if you ask me a question, I need you to let me answer. The other thing is that it's not a good thing for you to be the sole person over the money. I'm just telling you that ain't never gonna
be to be a treasurer.
Exactly.
They're just
And that's the thing, because of the way it's done. That's the first thing that somebody's gonna say is, well, you should have taken in $8,000 and you only took in $6,000. Well, you must have pocketed the rest. You don't have nobody to say, hey, this is what was deposited and this is what it was. You don't have nobody to have that. You can't prove it.
But if you saying on one document, you got 22 players who have paid, and then you report a different amount of money to the bank, how are you gonna prove that there's not some cash out there floating in there?
22 paid.
No, I'm just giving you a suggestion.
I tried to list what is not paid so that it shows that, because we're a nonprofit and part of our nonprofit status.
You have to account for every penny we
we're
bring
charity,
in.
we can provide this
Yeah,
for
but
the
you-
players,
but
so I show where those
what I'm saying
players'
is,
fees are being covered.
You have no way to prove
No, I know what you mean.
that those people didn't pay. That's what I'm saying.
Right, I know what you mean.
Like, you can say Tom, Dick, and Harry didn't pay, but if you put down on that paper so many players were registered,
They filled out.
you have no way to prove that they didn't pay.
Unless they said.
And you have nobody that's accounting, that's taking account of that with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So there isn't a sheet where she has your back and say, hey, we sat there and we counted off out of 20 people, we have money for 15 people, we got their receipts. So these 5 did not. But what it looks like is you saying, okay, we got 20 kids, I should have got $85 from 20 kids, so therefore we should have $7,000, and you only saying that you got 4. That does not
No, I know
look
what you
good.
mean. And so another aspect of that is when we use the online, we actually lose money. So if it's supposed to be 85 per kid, we're not, we're only getting 80. So we're moving forward, we are going to be doing only in-person signups, and we will have that.
How do you lose money with
What
you do the
Processing fees.
It's like
So you charge a processing fee.
So you add the
Well,
processing
that's why
fee
we
to.
up to 85 instead of 80 that they wanted to charge.
A free, I don't know.
If there's a percentage, you charge like the person you
What,
don't want.
what
I
app
did
were
it
they
to make my
using?
life easier.
What app were they using?
It's Stripe. It goes through Stripe.
So what's the processing fee?
It ends up being like $79.95 or something like that that they get out of the 85.
So when you
hold on,
try-
I'll give it-
We
give me a
lost
second.
$6?
But moving forward.
Square is like
we're going to
3%.
do it
There's something-
differently. Have people in
there's
place
definitely
for
ways
the
to get
sport
around
so
your-
they can cover that. We can
Okay,
get
but
other
even so, if we upped it to 85 for that season,
The secretary and treasurer and all of that, so that we can set that. And that's what you look to.
and then we upped it $10 for them to try to implement a pre-registration.
But why would you use them online?
Because everybody
That was
said we needed to do
But
online.
I'm saying, why would you do,
Problem.
but you have so many apps that are online who offer free services to nonprofits. So why in the world would you not be using one of those?
I left that responsibility to another volunteer to search up the things, and that was.
We did, and because either you pay for the service or you find a free program that takes it out of the processing fees. So we opted to do the free program that takes it out of processing fees. At the time, the registration was 80 and we upped it to 85 to try to encompass that.
The registration was 85 back in 2019.
Well, when I came
We
in,
lowered it.
it was 80.
Why would you lower it?
I paid $110 per kid for football.
That was, tackle was different.
Because
Tackle
people
was
have a
different.
hard time, at the beginning of the school year. when it's
Yeah,
August,
95 for
asking
flag.
people to sign up.
That's because this season
Oh,
we
yeah.
implemented the
Yeah.
So have you all made a plan for the new law that has taken effect into schools? Have you?
Working on that,
We're talking about the basketball, those things.
Yes.
Yeah, we are already talking about the possibility to use the old gym because it's not a school, but it is old facility, and we had a lot of.
I don't know if they're not gonna apply that rule, because that facility still belongs to the county, and that rule comes from the state legislature, so it's not just necessarily a school thing, it may be because that's a county facility,
Well, we're
that kind of
scared to
thing,
use it
so you might
because
wanna ask
They always
them.
say there's damage.
Sorry, it's
every time
89 on
we-
our
So we don't want to damage the building. So we-
Which again, you're gonna lose money.
Yes.
So you may wanna cut down on the number of times that you host.
Possibly, yes. And.
You know, if you host 2 or 3 times all day.
I put it out there before, that's like,
$55 an hour, so you're 10 hours, so that's $550.
Have you thought about using the gym in Gainesville? No, the one in Celebration Park?
So it's really expensive. So Act 4 that we played through, they were trying to do our end of season tournament at that building last time, and they couldn't get it. So we have brought it up to Act 4, and they're helping look for a solution because we actually utilize the Bronson School, the Chiefland School, the Santa Fe School, and the Trenton School to host our basketball games in there. So the only other facilities that we use are the Alachua Rec Center, the Newberry Rec Center, and MLK Center. And those are really small facilities, and there's always a lot of conflicts. So there's going to be a big change with basketball anyway because of that. So we're working on that.
So for basketball is Act 4, baseball and softball are Babe Ruth, and what is football was what kind of?
Football was okay, so flag football we just play with Newberry. The insurance policy you guys purchased covers insurance, and Newberry doesn't charge us to play there. They are doing it through their league anyway. They just show up and play games. Soccer uses Act 4, and then the football itself is the Tri-County Athletic League, I think you say that.
Mhm.
That's who we were going to be playing through, and who they played through last year.
For soccer?
No, football. Soccer is through Act 4.
So you have basketball registration going on now?
No, that won't be until toward the end of the fall season, because that's a winter sport.
So do you do okay, so you have cheerleaders for football, do you do separate cheerleaders for basketball? They have to sign up and pay again?
Yes. And they get a different uniform for that as well.
I was gonna say, could that be where some of the registration money is off of?
Yes,
No, there's several kids that don't play. Some of them are the same kids that don't play. And we've sent out
You
past
said
due
don't,
notices.
are you saying don't play or don't pay?
Sorry, pay. And we've
So
sent
the
out past
parents
due
is not
notices.
paying, not the
I'm
players.
sorry, you're right. You're absolutely right.
They roll from one sport to another sport to another sport and don't pay?
And I mean, I've asked about it and we've talked about doing something like, I've even asked parents to find their own sponsors when we're, I've tried to, without being disrespectful, but then you run into, well, these kids just won't get to play and it's not the kids' fault.
But there comes a time that, listen,
that's all I'm saying.
I feel horrible, but there comes a time
You have to pay for your kid.
You have
You
to.
have
I mean, there
to.
comes a time though that you can't keep eating those fees.
Absolutely. This is why we talked about doing a volunteer thing or something, to try to maybe take a portion of the fee off, but not make it completely
Somebody could have honestly close who didn't pay.
I'm the only one I think that has that full in.
But if you're charging $95 for flag football for a uniform, it probably costs $40 for the uniform. That would pay for 2 kids' uniforms right there.
Right. Like 10 flag football players.
Really though, but really
That's
though,
not
if
paying
you,
for referees.
yeah.
And referees for football and referees for basketball, well, all of them now is insane. But referees, but that new fee that's coming into basketball, that's gonna totally change basketball. And it's gonna change it for everyone.
Yeah, most of the sports, I mean, I don't know if it's changed, like the I-4, they provide the referees, right?
But it's part of the fees that you.
Right.
It's part of the
So-
fees.
That's what the fees cover.
But that's your league fees.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what that's incorporated in the
Right,
league
you
fee,
only
not,
pay the league
Well,
fees,
if
right?
you look at our cost compared to what you
And the
pay
fee,
in
that's
other
$250
communities,
fee.
our prices
They
really
pay.
are not that bad compared to what you pay paying somebody else.
We pushed them up because we were trying to cover it. Otherwise, we were trying to do this $80 flat fee for most everything.
Go ahead, sorry.
Do you guys pay all of the league fees for every single team? If it's like a $250 fee per sport, per season, you pay all of that?
So like if it's Act 4 for basketball, it's like $300 or
For the
something per
season?
team. It's so
for
much
the
per team,
team? So
yeah.
you cover all those costs?
If I ask for it there, if you look through, we did pay one set of fees last year, we would pay out $1,200.
You pay $1,200.
Yeah, and we decided that wasn't wise to do again, that was part of why we started asking. You said that they were.
I know we already,
But it goes back to the point, the town was only supposed to do it for 5 years. So why is the town gonna keep continuing to pay something that they should be self-sufficient on? I commend Bronson, like I said, I don't wanna hurt no kids, I want them all to play in a sport or something. But the funding is now on them, it should be on them.
Well, we're at the end of it now.
Well,
This
yeah,
is the last
and
budget
I
year.
know that's what the budget thing
Contract.
is to see about what to do
yeah,
and move forward.
but looking at this, they're not, I can tell you, you're not gonna be able
But
to
who's-
sustain on that. That's what I'm saying.
But whose fault is that? It's not the town's.
I-
Because why should the town of Bronson keep paying for something and letting somebody else run it and financially not kind of going backwards? The town keeps bailing them out, why change?
well, if it's for the self-sustain itself, you're gonna have to raise the fees to probably about $110.
You've had
No,
five
there's
years.
no way. There's no way. They're covering all the costs. If the parents in Bronson are not supportive enough to bring the kids to practice or not responsible enough to bring the kids, could there be funds allotted for a van and have somebody go and round up all the kids? to pick them up. If you have a volunteer, and he was there, he would, I'm not volunteering for this, but he'd pick up all the kids. I'm just, probably not,
I was gonna
but,
say, the only thing we've asked the town to pay for is the insurance for the year and the Act 4 fees for the last few seasons.
Right, but that's not the thing. The thing is, so if this is the last,
It's less than $5,000 for a whole year.
if this is the last year for that, these numbers, this not gonna sustain you, not making the money because you're losing. I mean, you did a Krispy Kreme fundraiser and y'all didn't make me $1. What happened?
We did, we made 1,028, it's listed right there.
No, and it says in here that then what you paid out in expenses is the same thing.
But she had it twice.
Twice.
She had it twice on the expenses.
Okay.
That's what that was. I saw that too. But it was kind of like she used it twice for.
Okay, no,
That's why I was like,
that's what we
so-
made $1,000, but can I be honest about that? People didn't participate, I did all the running around, I delivered people's donuts, there were still donuts sitting there a week later that were going back, because people didn't pick them up, it was terrible, and yes, we made $1,000, but again, I ran, now, we could have more if people would try to get sponsorships, if people would
And
do
do certificates. You could do just certificates.
which we tried that, and we should.
That's
we said we
what
were
we're
gonna
saying.
do.
I have a question. So this 5-year thing, I keep hearing about this. Why would the town want to support the kids? So I'm confused as to what that
Wait a
is.
minute, what did you just say?
I'm just trying to figure out, what that is.
No,
What is
what-
it?
When they originally took it over, none of the three of us were on the council.
No.
None of us.
So,
Nobody
yeah,
here.
nobody here was involved.
Was here.
But they did a 5-year contract where they staged it down from 10,000 all the way to 2,000. It did 10, 8, 6.
We never got to
Two.
10,000 because I made a business error, not realizing that the town
September
ended,
first.
yeah, that we couldn't do it. The
And-
first 10,000 BYS never got.
So, but the 5 steps, it started at 10,000 a year, it goes down all the way to 2, and then
And it was
nothing. And that
never,
was just, from what I understand,
To cover
to
startup.
cover startup and eventually get them to where they can self-sustain.
And we're at the end of that.
Because that's ideally is it's supposed to self-sustain. We're supposed to only be responsible for the maintenance of that field and those things that they use.
I just asked because like, every time that I've lived in partnership, there's like, the town continuously supported the youth.
so that's what I thought you said.
Yeah,
And first of all, the town does support the youth league, first of all. I just want to make
You
sure
do,
that's
you do.
clear.
Yes.
We do support the youth league. We do everything that we can to support the youth league, but the transition of ownership happened because the town decided to get a town manager. That was more important at that time.
No.
No, they hadn't even started talking about a time.
Yeah,
They were-
No,
I
it was
guarantee
because
you
they
anything
didn't
to
want
do
to
with
pay Curtis's salary
Yeah.
anymore because of the youth sports.
That's when
And enough money to
truth
pay.
be, they don't get involved
But
with
it's
it.
the
That's
same
where it came
thing.
from.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, I don't-
Like, it was
I just
the
know
same
that-
situation.
I'll say it.
They moved Curtis, they eliminated
Yeah.
Curtis's position.
No, it was,
It's a,
listen,
It
But-
don't matter, it has something to pertain
but,
with
Now,
that part.
Yes, ma'am.
so it was made aware when it was under the town that fees were not getting paid like it was supposed to. You know, parents were lacking on paying. Yes, and it's really the lack of other support. But the town does support the youth league.
Right, yes, you do. I'm sorry. I just meant, why wouldn't you want to continue that? That's only.
Like, this is the last
I would-
one.
I would
Let
like-
everybody know that the fees, you've purchased insurance and the Act 4 fees, it is less than $5,000 of money that you're actually talking about paying out.
I would love to give y'all $10,000 a year. I just said
I signed up to help the kids. I know I personally did. I know you signed up to help the kids.
You give
I know.
a thing. No.
So I
This
was
is,
just
so
curious.
we're operating on an agreement that was already made, and we still like, all the stuff with the, they don't pay for anything that happens to the field that gets mowed and all of that. Like, that still comes from us. So the fees are still, but, and the stuff with the fees and the money, that was before us, but that was the agreement, that they would be self-sufficient within 5 years, and that we still gonna do all the stuff with the field and help with all that kind of stuff, but far as
equipment.
and that kind of stuff, in
registration, those
5
kind of
years, They're supposed to be able to do it on their own.
We will always maintain the fields, pay the electric, pay the water,
And whether
concessions.
it's WYAA in Cheatham, whatever, I don't think that their city is on the hook forever for paying all of that stuff. I don't think it works like
Like I
that.
said,
They don't do
did
that.
anybody make a phone call to another municipality? I did.
I'm sorry, what? What did you just ask? I didn't.
I'm saying, did anybody else call
I
another
didn't call it college,
municipality?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying I did. The city of Williston maintains the fields and the buildings. That's it. They said in 2 weeks, they are changing that. Because the utilities is ridiculous. They're gonna start charging them a percentage. Chiefland does it the same way. That's why I was saying when I spoke, the youth leagues, to make it fair and transparent all the way around, to get numbers here, it's gonna have to be the same,
Right.
like your neighboring communities.
Mr. Cox,
This way.
what was the last year that you coached in Bronson?
The last year the town ran it.
Yeah, I've never seen
What year
2019,
was that though?
2019.
20?
My son is 19, and I coached another year after he did, so 6 years, so it's been 5 years.
How many kids participated then?
In which sport?
Any of them?
I don't know. So
Was there a time where y'all had just one team per age group?
the only sport that we really lacked in was, which is still a problem today, we just don't have enough kids around here to do it, is the tackle program. We would generally make 2 age groups, but I mean, I coached a season, I had 12 kids. Don't give you a whole lot to get hurt, or nobody not to show up. So I mean, the tackle is always a struggle. Basketball, flag football, baseball and everything, they always had full teams, but I think some of the last teams I coached the girls softball team, but it was a little bit of a bigger team. We could have split it, but it wasn't worth taking the risk of somebody missing it and the team having to forfeit, especially when you travel far away. So sometimes you just gotta make a bigger team or whatever. But I mean, we had numbers, but they weren't outstanding as other places, but we were able to fill squads.
But I don't remember a time then where parents had to get refunded because the season didn't start for that group of kids because they didn't have enough to play. I don't remember that happening.
It's been every season since I've helped that we've had teams that have had, just didn't form.
Now, in some of their defense, I will say, there was a huge uptick, and then there was a decline. You know, like when I stopped, it was starting to decline a little bit. Just age groups weren't there. The kids were kind of sporadic in numbers, but, you know, but the numbers now should be on the incline. Because you got all these who are super young, should now be old enough to be moving into the older sports.
Bronson's population is growing, so you know, the kids program would also grow with that.
And another problem we're gonna have with trying to self-sustain is the money from the county. You get a new county commissioner, so he gets to choose where that money goes to. Yeah, so he might choose to give it to something else, to the extension office, and not to youth sports. There goes $7,000. So,
Well, that's 7,000 for the whole county. Because Chiefland, anybody can ask for it.
no, there's $7,000
Each
per
one, they have their
commissioner.
own individual.
$7,000 per commissioner.
And like he told, Mr. Meeks told me prior, he was like, in, Cedar Key will ask for certain things, Jim will ask.
Yeah, that $7,000 only
Comes from
y'all were
there.
able to get from it.
He told me that 7 went to everybody.
$7,000 per commissioner. each commissioner got $7,000 for their district to do what they wanted to do with it.
Each district gets $7,000.
Right, and like he said, he put it in sports, so if chief would ask for some of that money, then the chief would got some.
No, they have their own area commissioner.
Yeah.
He got $7,000 just for his
But
area.
what he told us was he
That's not
gave
what he
Chief
told
Lynn
us.
some of the money one of the seasons.
That's how it
If
works.
if it was at the very end and y'all haven't used it, he probably did.
So that's his discretion,
Right.
wherever he sends it. So if he did take some of that money and send it, that's
Right,
his
and I asked him
discretion.
questions. I
He
just,
doesn't
as
have
soon as
to.
he said he sent some over there, that's how I figured it
Oh,
goes.
so you didn't get the 7,000?
And part of that,
No, he helped Cedar Key out with some basketball.
Well, he said in here in the meeting, when y'all asked for the money for softball, that they hadn't been asked for any money.
This-
That they could
this
only
time
use the
here?
money for certain things. Yes, he said right here.
He was sitting
Yeah,
right
he was
there
sitting
with
right
the
here in the
address.
meeting.
I'm talking about times past. not
So
just-
what
He still said you're not
so what
asking.
happens is if they're allocated $7,000 and you guys don't ask for it before the end of the budget, a lot of times, not always, a lot of times that county will say, oh, well, there's $7,000 you didn't use. Guess what, I'm gonna take 4,000 of it. So your $7,000 dropped to $4,000. So in order to keep that line item funded, you have to use that money all the
I
time.
see, I didn't realize
Yeah.
it was $7,000.
And yeah, and you guys, yeah,
I didn't realize it.
Each,
I was under the assumption that it was for Levy County.
yeah, no, each
Well,
district is seven.
Either way, if it's first come, first served, you still
I
ask
was
for
gonna say,
it.
yeah, even if it is
Him and
7.
Sue had to, I had the emails and Ms. Stewart, you should also have the
Oh, yeah.
email with Sue that
If you waited till the,
Whatever it is, even if their fiscal year starts
It was
October
five.
You're
1st.
talking about for the county?
Even-
and what you do, you go in,
So he was allocating
Bring it
funds,
to PO.
y'all not
yeah,
saying
PO
that.
and you get the stuff.
Which we
But if you
will
don't use it,
try and
they go some, well, they'll put some.
If I knew, if there was $5,000 of first come, first serve on October 2nd, because our first year
Yeah.
starts on October 1st, on October 2nd, I walk in there with a $5,000 PO for a bunch of random stuff.
Right.
Yes.
And
For all
it says,
the
"Here,
sports."
Buy this.
Right.
That's what I did, for all the sports, you go ahead and.
Use it
get all
where
the
everybody
stuff.
else can get it.
exactly what I do.
I mean,
But who's from baseball here? Who's from football? Yeah,
I mean, I did
you know, who's from basketball here? All the different sports. You know, you all need to say something about your sport. Because right now, we just sit here.
Coach
we
T
just-
said all he needed to say. That's integrity off the field. All I can know is the integrity of the ownership off the field is another reason why some of our kids have left. It ain't just because of the sport itself. Integrity off the field. What happened in the parking lot? What happens off the field in Bronson? Bronson, we all talk, we're tight knit. The integrity off the field. That's all.
But do y'all meet with him? Do y'all meet with him
But
to talk?
I have seen that where people have a personal problem with one or both of them because they're married or whatever, they feel like they don't have a remedy to whatever their problem is. Because like me personally, I've only met some of these board members once. And then they stop showing up to help. They pull their kids to another program. Instead of trying to figure out how to rectify.
And I can tell you that at that point, that person feels like there is no change.
But this
And
is,
there's no change.
And I've seen that
inside.
repetitively.
I feel like there's no change and my children are still playing in Bronson.
listen, this is the thing too.
But this is my hometown, I've been here my whole life.
And I'm
my
not going
kids are
anywhere
soon to be all in the middle high school. So I'm just waiting on that, honestly.
And my kids are gonna be raised here. I have a
All
three-year-old
the
that I think
sports
in the program.
overlap now, so that's why it's so difficult. It was a time when I started, the sports didn't overlap.
Yes.
But now, you have about 3 different sports going on at the same time that's overlapping, which is causing a problem with volunteering, it's causing a problem with kids, it's causing a lot of the problem because if a kid want to play football and they want to play flag and they want to play soccer, all those things.
The big problem
it makes
is,
a
the
difference.
big problem is the losing.
Right.
Losing.
Well, when you have just these volunteers coming in and they don't even know what they're doing,
Exactly.
of course the children are
But
gonna
we have a
want to
basketball
play.
program that we lose 70-0. What do you think the parents are gonna do?
Which is supposed to be against the
I'm not saying nothing against David and Angela, but I'm coming from Gainesville as well. Losing is part of winning as well, but when it's every game, lose, that transfers to the middle and high too.
Right.
And the self-esteem and the money, all that stuff goes away because, hey, why would I play here if I go Woodson and win?
Right.
Not saying losing, you can't lose.
And that's
I feel like that
But
comes
I
from
feel that's a
community
big part.
involvement. I
That's
feel like
what
that
Ms.
comes
Schuler
from
was
community
saying,
involvement.
that there was that she was not aware of what she was going into
Absolutely.
at this tournament. So, and then for her, I already know how this is. For her, she took it as a loss for herself.
Absolutely.
Because she didn't know, she didn't get the proper communication about where they were going. So, and it's not cool.
So am I supposed to tell the coach or the commissioner, the coach, and then go tell the parents myself as well? Because the head coach will.
I think a simple solution to that would be taking the schedule when you first make the schedule and posting it on your Facebook or posting it so it's out there.
Everybody had it, and it said it was
So
the
that
champions part
post
of the
on
Memorial
Tuesday.
Day tournament.
We'll post it on those.
It was-
And then they end up not going?
No, they went.
We'll post it on
They had the choice to go to
Yeah, I
that
wasn't-
or
I
the
wasn't-
district
Handwritten.
tournament, whichever one they
the.
chose.
Changed.
Or
Yeah.
both, if they actually wanted to go to both, but they chose one. They went to the champions part because it was in Midway.
So I think too, to make the teams more competitive, it's gonna have to be, I know what's happening with Act 4 because it was happening when I was at the end of it, is some of the areas are taking like their kids who travel and putting them on teams, and then you playing rec ball and they playing travel ball, and so you get beat 70-1 because those kids playing basketball all year long.
Right.
But another way to combat that too, that you're gonna have to work with is you're gonna have to take your teams, your same kids that played last year, they need to be the same group, and then you take all your beginners and you put them together, it's gonna have to be separate, and you can't have, you know, like 15 kids on a basketball team and they all gotta play a quarter, you can't win like that. And so if you notice, a lot of the teams that we were playing only got like 7 or 8 kids on them, because then that way you don't have that group of 5 that you gotta play that's never gonna score. So, I mean, that's gotta be something that the way that they used to do it is that all of the kids, when they signed up, and then the coaches would meet and they would put the kids on the teams, and so then you could build them the way you wanted to build them. And there was a difference between your better half of the kids, you know what I'm saying? You say to the league, I got an A team and I got a B team. My B team is my beginners, my A team. All right, you can put us with some competition, but the coaches have got to do that. Because otherwise, you play stacked teams, because when they do the schedule, it's just random to them.
Right.
But you can tell them, hey, my A team, this my kids been playing for 5 years. This my kids that play school ball and they play this. My B team, this my team, they can barely dribble. They can barely throw the ball to first. They can barely do whatever. It's a difference, and you have to build your team just like everybody else build their team.
We've only got one age group for each team.
So, and it hurts too when parents got to be dedicated enough to bring their kids to practice and they have to be there. But you can't always fix that. So, because I mean, that's the other thing. You can't teach them nothing if they ain't there.
Right, and we do.
3 doesn't mean nothing.
Right, we try to preach about the participation in practice.
But my question would be, are those your parents that's not paying? So if I'm paying $85, Junior gonna be at every practice and every game. If I'm paying for free, I might come tomorrow, I might not come. So you might want to look at that situation too, especially with you guys that are coaches. Hey, I had 6 practices and Eddie only shows up to games. Then you look at it, well, Eddie ain't paid, so technically Eddie should be playing nowhere.
Yep. Sometimes it's parents that think that the kids are too good to come to the practice.
Because you, as a coach, you could be an NBA caliber basketball coach, but if your kids don't come to practice, you can't teach them nothing. Same thing with t-ball, baseball, softball, football, volleyball, whatever. If they are not there to learn, ain't nothing you can teach them.
The biggest thing that you learn in sports is where there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely.
That's the number one thing that you learn as playing sports. I have, my son is almost 17 years old, and I still go from one side to the other, picking up people, going to practice, and there's kids that I tell when they get in my car, they live within 0.5 miles of my house, I tell them straight up, you never have to ask for a ride when you see my car.
Right.
Never. Hop in. I got you. We need more of that back. That's what we need. Like, we need for people to step up and do what they're supposed to do, but we also need leadership that is
It's not a
going
problem.
to,
That's not the issue.
What you said?
we also need leadership that is going to trickle down.
Plenty of volunteers. That's
That-
not the issue.
Well, that's the
people
thing,
behind
usually
it.
volunteers feel like there's no remedy when
Yeah,
they do
that's-
have a
Well, I
concern.
agree, but who wants to step up to be leadership? Where are they at these meetings so that they can
I've
get
been
on
doing
the
this
board?
for a year and a half, and as the registrar, and I'm not even on the board,
There
to
are
vote
Yeah,
on
you
what
need to.
happens.
We were trying to keep the commissioners and the board members separate so that the
Right,
commissioners had
it's
it
taken
back
forever
to
to
support
support
them.
Volunteers.
Go ahead, sir.
There's
Hey,
volunteers.
everybody. Smile, just take a breath. Good question. So, I just been listening and taking notes on everything and what y'all been saying, and y'all really got an easy problem going on, just like y'all gotta find solutions, man.
Solutions.
That's the communication, the leaders, they're right. Y'all gotta be leaders. You gotta take the criticism. Like, don't be so defensive all the time. Just take it. That'll make the program a lot better. The volunteers, it's gonna be a process with the volunteers. The soccer coach, he's kind of moving in the right direction, but it takes a process. And so a lot of it is, so what I was hearing, you got coaches coming in, maybe a year here, 2 years here, but you gotta, as a leader, you gotta find some way to keep your coaches. And that's what's gonna make your program. You gotta make it a family atmosphere. I stay in game here, but I see a lot toward Williston. I've been around Cawthorn, those programs, and it's no different than y'all. It just, y'all gotta get more tight. And it's just not up to the leaders, it's up to the community. Y'all gotta get.
Hawthorne has that hometown pride.
Yeah.
You gotta know, what are we lacking for volunteers? What areas?
So,
Let's write it down.
before you get to that, you gotta have a head in those.
Right, we got two of them
He
right
coached
here.
baseball
We got
last
two-
year,
No, we got
last
two
season.
heads right here.
No. So y'all have to find ways to take stuff off y'all shoulders. Y'all wearing too many hats.
Delegate
So,
tasks.
right, so she needs to be your secretary for your whole program.
But like you
It's not up to
said, they
her.
have a hard time.
Let's come up with
trusting.
solutions right now. What are we lacking for volunteers? What are we lacking? What's sports? Let's speak, let's speak.
Hold on. Actually, can you introduce yourself, please?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm Kevin Jordan. I'm over at ID's Gainesville Kings. We're going to be nationally, ranked national program next year. We're coming out of Gainesville. So I understand y'all, right? I understand where y'all coming from. And then I also understand where they're coming from too. But it's like, as a leader, you have to give your community your vision. Like, I don't think they understand your vision. And so, like, the lady in the back, like, I fear her because she was kind of set up. So you gotta, like, as the leader of the baseball, you gotta, like, hey, with this game, with this tournament right here, we're gonna need our players for this. Like, this tournament, you know what I'm saying? So, but y'all don't have those players in this area to go team A and team B. So, again, it goes back to your coaches to start with the fundamentals of everything. So I'm not necessarily that guy that's gonna have your kid doing all these cone drills. I'm gonna have your kid doing that one dribble to get that right. So you gotta make sure all your coaches are fundamentally sound. And once that goes on, then that'll make your whole town better, right? Which I gotta start from somewhere first. You see? So it's just a lot of just miscommunication, but y'all have to write a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. Like, you should have been writing notes tonight. Like, it's a lot of stuff that y'all gotta just, like just put in order. And once you put that in order, it'll trickle down, and then your parents and your kids will understand what's going on, but nobody knows your vision. That's what I'm listening.
Right.
I don't even know if you have a vision. So I don't, right, so it's just simple. But it starts with y'all. Like, you can't quit. Like, I want to quit every day. I understand. But that's a good leader. That's going to take, a lot of pressure off y'all's shoulders. So, but you gotta, it's hard. I understand it's hard to trust people because you got all kind of stuff coming your way, But you gotta it's like Walmart. You just gotta keep bringing in workers. And you know how Walmart just still got those 5 or 6 workers still there? So it's all in the process. And that's just something I had to learn. So, but the ones that fits what you're trying to do, you gotta keep those. retire, I mean, like she said, they're gonna leave. It's just, that goes all over the country now. They just gonna leave. So you can't worry about that. In pro sports, college sports, high school, the kids gonna leave and go to different areas. But it sounds like you have a core. So you just gotta work from that core. And then that'll bring up all your different sports, your football, your basketball, your baseball, and softball. But you gotta have a direction for, you know, and then you got help. Y'all cheating. Y'all got help. Y'all got the town and the city. Give them your direction. They don't know your direction. Like, they don't know where to give you your money. You got coaches don't even know how to ask, but that comes from y'all. You know what I'm saying? Get that down pat. Y'all missing $7,000. That's y'all fault. That's not the community's fault. But $10,000, man, shoot, y'all missing $10,000. And $10,000, the community don't know. The community don't know how important those $10,000 is to y'all because y'all haven't gave them that vision. So it's just going back and forth because y'all not putting it out. But I mean, y'all got the help. You got to use it. So that's all I kind of see. That's all I got. People to do it. Huh? You said trust people. Yeah,
So we have implemented the commissioners moving forward, and they will have all the responsibility. And so you don't have your letter, so you can't see it, but there is a paper that expresses what the commissioners are responsible to do. And that'll be everything from the registrations to getting their coaches to
See, but they shouldn't have to, they shouldn't, your registration and stuff dealing with money should come from one person, so one person can settle it.
Right,
So that's
they'll be there to make sure the registration is happening, to get more players. We only have 10 players there, we want to see more players. Making sure that they're
yeah, no problem. So basically, that's all I want to say, man. Just find a way and make it, and just always think about the kids. It's never about the adults. Just always think about the kids. I have a lot of problems with my parents and with the community because they always say, hey, I should move this way. Hey, I should move this way. No, I'm moving away from my kids. So that's the way, like, I mean, and then they'll understand where y'all coming from. They said y'all put a lot of energy into this. Just show the parents what their energy coming from. Like, you know, it's for the kids. That's it.
Thank you.
No problem.
Go ahead.
One thing I could say in the last meeting, that something that Kurt said that made a lot of sense was that if the people don't, I have no problem with Scott and Angela, but if the people in the community don't support them, they're not gonna get nobody. I don't care how much stuff you do, if they don't have, if they have too much bad rep for other people, the people are gonna go somewhere else. I think that's the issue that he said that made sense. So if we need to get a fresh start, so be it. The kids will be coaches and do whatever they want in the community. But if they have a bad rep of too many people in town,
and that's what I'm afraid of, actually.
That's what
And I'm been worried because they're husband and wife and they're the only ones.
That's my biggest fear is because I know that you guys contested, but I'm telling you, I remember when my kids were playing and we had a lot of kids playing. And now I have a 5-year-old that I want to play, but do I want them to play for BYS?
Right, which shouldn't even be a question.
No, it shouldn't be a question.
This is Bronson.
Exactly.
No, that's what
I
I'm
should
saying.
want my kid to play in Bronson.
I live in Bronson, I'm going to have my kids play in
So
Bronson.
we're not,
I don't care.
we can't be involved at all, then we can't coach. If everybody doesn't want to work with us to the point that
You can't put the blame on everybody else.
I'm just
You
saying.
can. This whole time, all I've heard is everybody else's fault. If you're running it, it's your responsibility to delegate tasks to everybody.
It's a board and commission.
It's the two of you are the only ones. You're the only faces.
We're the only ones that are standing up and doing the actual.
So then delegate the task to somebody else.
You just said that he was doing it.
Is doing
Okay,
that.
you were not you're saying something
You don't know. I promise. He coached. He coached.
So, just to let you know,
You shouldn't
your
have
body
to buy equipment,
language
girl. You
and
shouldn't have
the
to buy
way that
any of
you're
that.
That's
communicating,
for personal use, okay?
this lady right here has talked nothing but good about both of y'all. Everything that she has said has been positively about you two, but the way that you communicated with her, you really, like, it really seems like you were disputing everything that she was saying. And she was in here just telling me as transparent as possible the problems that she was seeing. She was not trying to attach it to you. She was not attacking you.
I'm sorry, but it is directly attached to us because Jose just proceeded to say that if Scott and I were involved at all, that people in the community would not be involved. How am I not
No,
supposed to
he's
take
not
that?
what I said. That the integrity,
But being honest, it's being honest. There's so many issues everyone's using.
Hold on, can I go get,
Here's the
Hey,
can I fix that statement? I don't think that it's necessarily if you and Scott are involved. I think it's the way that the leadership is run currently is disorganized and very hard for people to want to keep showing up.
And at the end of the day,
we did 4 years of it by ourselves.
I just
I
want
know,
to
that's
say,
why I stepped up and that's why I
And
tried.
I'm
I just
supposed to,
wanna
after
say,
4
when you
years
have
of
somebody
by
that's for you,
myself, I'm
that
supposed
is
to just
that
jump up and say,
transparent,
oh,
you
you're
gotta
gonna
listen
help and
to
do great
Yes,
for
no,
everybody?
I know what
No,
she's
let's
saying.
put you to the test.
So then
How
what I
about put
said
a
is,
little bit
what's
of
the
time
result?
in and
So
effort
let's
in?
step out
But if you don't wanna put the time and effort in, you wanna whine and cry like a little baby, then what are you gonna get? Are you gonna get on the board? No, because you won't step up and you won't put forth the effort. And if you can't do that, then no, you don't deserve to get on board.
Honestly, who would
Here's-
want to work next to you?
Here's the thing, part of being a leader is listening to complaints, negative
Constructive
comments.
criticism.
It gets old, it's stressful, it's horrible, and it plays a toll on you. Yes, I don't take that away from you, but being a leader and starting an organization, you take the good with the bad. So when you have people that are willing, like Virginia said, like her, that are willing to tell you and be respectful, be upfront, and, well, hold on, Angela, because this is exactly what I'm talking about, is you don't give people the opportunity to explain the situation with you. Because what you just did is, I'm not attacking you, I don't have children that way. But when you guys don't step back and take a breath and simply listen to what's going on, take the complaints in, do what they do in Ball, take a 24-hour period, but you need to be able to hear them and respond to them. But being a good leader understands that there are going to always be people that don't like you, and there are going to be people that question you. You guys need to figure out is what these people are saying are true, and if it is true, because if it's just one person, maybe. But when you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people telling you guys the same thing, at some point you guys are going to have to take a step back and say, maybe this is us. Let's see, what can we do to make this better? Have an open communication, because everybody, the one consensus from everybody in here right now is there is no open communication. There is no open communication. People cannot come to you guys and have a conversation without people getting defensive. One comment was made and everybody's at each other's throats. You will never build a team. Never. Am I wrong? If that's what all there is, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you can have an all-star player that's going straight to the NBA. If you guys are not open, you guys and everybody else, it's never going to go.
I understand, and I have been listening, and all I'm hearing is that myself and my husband are the problem.
Listen, sorry,
Our communication
I
is
feel
the
where you
problem.
come from, but listen, you are the problem. So listen, you're gonna always be the problem because like you said earlier, like any person that's running the youth program will gladly say, hey, you can take my spot and be the leader. I understand where you're coming from, but you are the problem and you have to like it's a bunch of them saying one thing, so like she said, you gotta take account of that, and then that's to make everything better. That's all they saying. It's like it's a lot of people here that's not like downgrading you or listen, they're not talking bad about y'all, but you're not even taking that in. Like you just come out, and I know women, you taking it a little bit better, but like I understand. But listen, I have a whole city of Gainesville on my neck. Like you're gonna get that. So what? But my program is #1 in Gainesville. So you think I care about what the whole city? You see what I'm saying? So you're gonna get that. Whoever, if he be the leader, he's still gonna get it. If she be the leader, she's gonna get it. And so it does. No, they're gonna. No, trust me. Every leader is gonna get a parent or a group of parents that say, hey, you're the problem. That's why I'm not bringing my child here. And guess what? My vision is, hey, I don't care if you bring your child over here because this is the vision for these kids. You have to believe in what you're doing for these kids. And none of these negative comments will bother you. That's all I'm saying. Like, you have to take that in. If you're going to be the leader in anything, I don't care if it's a teacher, you're going to get criticized. You got to take it in and make better of the situation, or it's not gonna change. Like, you're
And
gonna be.
besides
We're all here
softball
for the
and
kids that don't
soccer,
wanna
the
help.
whole program is dwindling to zero. I mean,
Right,
we
right.
all left, we all,
Softball,
We're all here to
softball has been wonderful this year.
right, I said besides
The
softball,
one
yeah.
team.
But they made it perfectly clear, we gotta go, we all got kids, we have dinner, we can't, I mean, respectfully, you know, but they made it clear over and over that they don't wanna deal with football. You know, I mean, they've said that, they don't wanna deal with it, they have too much on their plate.
Responsible to
Well,
take
but I can't
control.
say even softball last season, spring, that team was made of 14-year-olds that should have been on a 14-year-old team, and we didn't even have an 8U team that team. Had we had the players from the community that live here, that could have been here, we could have had 4 at minimum softball teams, but we had to turn away kids. Luckily, the ones that stayed and chose to go up, they did make it all the way to the World Series. I'm super proud of them. But
That does, I mean, this league needs someone that wants to be involved, that wants to do fundraisers. If the parents aren't being supportive, you need somebody that wants to be involved. They don't want to be involved,
Dan can be
respectfully.
trusted.
We didn't have a
Yes,
problem with
he
them
can be
either,
trusted
you know?
more
I mean, but
firsthand
they
than
don't want to be
anything.
involved. So what are you supposed to do? Now we have to go to Chiefland. And then our kids got in trouble because they wore Chiefland jerseys at Bronson, which is stupid. They shouldn't have done that. But they wanted to wear, I didn't write anything anonymous either, but I promise, I'm not anonymous. But, you know, he thought it was stupid for them to wear their Chiefland jerseys. He told my kid not to do it. He told our kid not to do it, you know, because it looks bad.
Not to wear it?
Not to wear a Chiefland jersey to Bronson, because that's not your school.
they were offered to be called
I
Bronson.
think, so I think the miscommunication with that is that the reason why they want you to wear your jersey on the
To rep.
Friday is so that it's kind of like a
Pride.
silent pep rally
Right.
for the football team. So I think
They
that
shouldn't have
was
worn
misinterpreted.
Chiefland. They shouldn't wear Chiefland. You're in Bronson, but there should be a Bronson team for
But they
these
should have
kids.
been, but they should have been made to take it off either.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So, but that's what the school, that's not.
I just felt like that situation with the 12U got out of hand before.
100%.
It
It should have never happened.
Before you take your toys and go away, you gotta try to solve the
But remember-
situation.
No, I'm not saying-
But it sounded like the separation was needed for the way the situation went.
But it should have gotten, it should have never
shouldn't have gotten that far.
escalated. We paid in May for these jerseys, and we're told that everything was ordered for months. These kids were practicing out there since
Every
January.
single day they were coming home, Mom, we're getting our stuff.
Yes,
Mom,
they
we're
were
getting our
told, I don't care what they say.
That was a lack of communication, which is.
100%, they said that they were ordered. These kids were told every week that they were getting their uniform. Yes, you did. And then we found out the day that we all got refunds that nothing was ordered because there weren't, can I speak? Because all you do is talk over
How would we get
everything else.
refunds if they were ordered? I mean,
Right.
it's just common sense.
Right, it was never ordered, that's why we got a refund, but she said, Lonnie Terry and Miss Lori Terry were told that they couldn't get refunds because everything was ordered. Everybody knows Lonnie and Lori, y'all can ask them, they're not liars.
They asked, because I don't even know who they asked.
So I guess my question would be, if there was a team that was practicing and was going forward, why this stuff wasn't?
Since January, exactly, that was the question.
That's just my question.
Correct.
It'd be different if you didn't think you was gonna have a team, but you had a team, and you had to
Since
know.
January, Mr. T was out there since January. We had to bring 35 kids to Chiefland, 35, because they didn't order anything. So what were they doing? For 6 months, 8 months.
We have to have a minimum of 15. The day that we spoke with them, they had 16 for the 12U and 10 for the 10U. We said, fine, we can move forward with the 12U, no with the 10U. We'll have to have a refund or they're gonna have to play up. Then everything went off. We did not order the uniforms because they sent me an invoice for 30 uniforms, okay? There weren't even 30 players signed up, so I was not paying for 30 uniforms. I would pay for 16 uniforms for 16 players who could play on 12U and whatever 10U would play up. That's it.
Okay, so why not?
But that was a lack of communication that got up to that point too. For months, those coaches were texting, asking about that. And they said we had to have stuff by this date. And it wasn't until like a week before that they were like, if you don't have 15 of them, then we're not going to move forward.
And maybe Mr. T acted out, you know, out of character or whatever, he shouldn't have exploded or whatever happened that day, but he had the pressure of all of us parents complaining to him, wondering where our kids' stuff is, because we paid months before, so he had it. He was like, you know, you're telling me something, I'm telling them, and it's all BS.
I also think if it hadn't been about anything other than safety, I don't think he would have went off, to be honest.
Correct.
Because
All
I know
those helmets sat there, and you guys said that last meeting, that they've been sitting there since 2019 in boxes. How can you give that to your kids? And if there's money allotted, why wasn't it being spent? Where is it? How come nobody's, I mean.
Which I can't say, when you originally asked for
Governor's office, because we didn't order the
I can't-
ads because they backed out and now we don't have.
When Coach Taylor originally asked for new helmets, he did just say he wanted white helmets. I was present for that. So
did
it was a lack of
everybody get
communication
refunded?
all the way around.
all of those players
Yes.
that paid their player fee,
All
all
but
of
one
them.
player has received a refund, and she just hasn't contacted me again to meet me to get it. Everybody else received their refund.
Ms. Phillips, I'm kind of like what he was saying in the back, if y'all, like, I wouldn't leave tonight unless I have somebody over every sport. If y'all can get it, that's.
Yeah, but get a piece of paper, get a piece of paper, let's
Write
get
it
a
down.
resolution instead of just keep talking in the circle. Write some stuff down, come on, write it down.
I think you might have spoken, we have it.
It's all written down, so you need volunteers for X, Y, and Z.
They don't have commissioners already.
So all these, so,
We need volunteers.
well, what you're saying, volunteers, these are the only things we need volunteers for, right here. I'm just listening the whole time, this is all y'all need volunteers for, right here.
I like that idea.
So if you have,
I'm asking a question. This is all you need volunteers for, right here.
No, we need volunteers for every sport, for every.
Obviously, right now, like,
Tonight, what's the resolution? We got kids to
What
feed,
do
so
you-
we're gonna.
who do you need volunteers for?
I'm not the one here upset, everybody else here is the one. I
well,
already
no,
asked
let's come up with a solution instead of just talking in
Part of it
circles.
is trying to help you too, though, it's not just.
Because you have plenty of volunteers. I mean, honestly, you have plenty of volunteers. I don't know who you need volunteers for. I'll help you find volunteers. You know what I'm saying? I'm a
We still
volunteer.
need
He's a
coaches.
volunteer. I mean, a pile of them right here. Just give us a list of who you need volunteers for.
We still need
Coaches for what? Write it down on here. I'll
He,
call
I
some people.
mean,
We'll
he
call some
bought
people.
all the
They'll
uniforms
call
for
some
baseball
people.
coaches
We'll
last
help you.
season. Who's supposed to pay for that? He bought. Oh, he did. He sure did. The coaches, his jersey and his jersey and another coach's
It
jersey
doesn't
for
matter
baseball.
about that.
For 10U.
I
Who's supposed to
hang
cover
in
that?
everything in a weekend. I get 4 or 5 guys. We go
That's
paint
right. We
the
can
whole
put
field.
metal over the bleachers
I
for
mean,
$2,000
we got our
with
tractor
4x4s
out there
that
to
give
fix the field for
shade.
the kids. We'll
Get
do
with
the
him.
same
I mean, we
also.
could do all that.
You know, just
We can
write
do
down
all of
what
that.
y'all need, and we'll come up with a solution.
We still
You
need
know what I
more
mean?
players
There's
too,
plenty of
though.
people.
So we
that-
need, they don't want to be involved, they've said it, we need people that want to be involved, that will do fundraisers to raise money in the
y'all,
community.
wait, whoa, y'all all stop talking at one time.
Come to the BYS meeting.
If I can get the information on that, that's my bad. I don't know what it is, I don't look it up, I didn't know. It wasn't like
So
this.
right now, you currently have, what, soccer and cheerleading and
Flag football.
flag football?
And
Flag football for
softball
what
and
age?
baseball, all in the fall. This
Okay,
fall
so are the people that are over those sports, if I wanted to volunteer for soccer, is it his number, his information available, where if I want to volunteer, or if I am the school coach and I coach football, because we have a new football coach, and maybe he wants his kids to volunteer, is that contact information available so that people can sign up? We have Avid, we have several different things where the kids have to volunteer.
There's zero communication, always.
There's like a BYS website with contacts or something simple, or a free website set up.
You have to list
Very simple
all the
thing.
People that, you know.
For the people who say that they have.
Right, but if it's a problem and you know it's a problem, and what you're doing isn't working, you have to attack it a different way. So if that's not working, having a meeting and putting it there so you're not getting the people to show up like you need to show up, you have to figure out how to get them there. Whether it's when their parents sign up, hey, I could use your help. And you got 10 parents, I mean, you gotta, whoever's, if it's broken, the only way to fix it is to attack it. Not just like ignore it or get upset because somebody tell you that it's broken.
I agree. We put it on our volunteer, or on our registration application in case you want to help. Destin had signs made that are hanging at the park that say,
I
if
mean, I
you
can
want to
speak for soccer,
volunteer.
she's offered, every single meeting we've gone to that pertains to soccer, she says, hey, anybody volunteer? Nobody raises their hand. So it's not like they're not trying. I mean, people just have to volunteer. I mean,
When
I
parents
don't-
come and complain to me, that's the first thing I say, that's the application right there, go scan it and do an application, so you can help.
Not every parent has the cojones to volunteer. They had them, they did it, but not every parent wants to be, okay, I'll do it, I never coached soccer
I
before.
mean, I got a semi-pro player to come out to the camp by simply using social media, sending a message saying, hey, how would you like to come help us? That would be great. I come from a small town. I'll come out tomorrow. It was as easy as that. I found a coach.
Yeah, but they're not doing it. If they are only passionate about softball and basketball, then put somebody else in charge for all the other sports. BYS can strictly be for softball and that.
You have the commissioner paper right there.
But he was the coach last year.
Curtis, what's my passion?
This is Destin. Destin, you can take on basketball with everything else that you have on your plate.
That is my sport, correct? And what did I give up to you?
It's not as hard as it sounds.
100% I gave up. That is my passion. It is not baseball. It is not softball. It is not football. It is not basketball.
See? He's telling you straight up.
Soccer is my sport.
So let him do soccer, let her run baseball, or softball, I'm sorry, and let somebody else do everything
Running
else.
baseball and softball.
They don't want to do it. That's where,
Right, nobody else stepped up, so he became the softball commissioner last year.
I did basketball last time, so she's finally stepped up.
Right.
if you guys have too much on your plate, then delegate it to somebody else.
Until somebody steps up.
Even flag football right now.
Yes.
Right now, you don't have a flag football.
Right now, not in the past. I'm just.
We have two
Okay.
flag football teams and do not have a coach
Yeah.
for
Hell
either.
yeah.
Yes, we had to do the whole field. Our tractor, because they didn't do it. Yeah, we did all that.
I like to listen, you know, and I ain't hearing nothing good. No,
We just need
just
volunteers.
come up with the solution, resolution, what you need.
I have two flag football.
Does anybody need a volunteer for him? Because I
Does
have.
anybody want to coach flag football?
What needs to be volunteered for?
Anybody want to coach a flag football team? That's the next
Flag
step.
football coach.
Here, give me the flag football stuff.
What else?
I've coached it.
So all
Ain't
this
got
is
no
about
kids,
lacking
don't care
flag
doing it.
football
How many
coaches.
times
No,
have you
we've
asked
got,
me to
I'm
help
just
you?
saying that's
Yes.
the first thing I can think of right
Maybe
now.
one thing you never asked me once.
We've asked you to come out.
You need to do it. But look, here's the problem. Nobody's listening to the young gentleman over there.
I know. Everybody's just defensive. I mean,
We said,
You just don't know. You don't know yet. I promise.
That's the problem, that's all.
The second thing is it don't matter how many volunteers you guys get, if the structure is not there, if you don't have a
Solid
foundation built,
foundation, 100%.
if you don't have a solid foundation, you can't build it up. Right? Constructive criticism, like I said, first thing I would do is I would get with that gentleman right there and see if I could get his phone number, pick his brain. How many other youth organizations have you guys talked to?
I talked to all of them.
Thank you.
I deal with that.
Our bylaws
You talked about the
indicate
structure. You talked about the structure?
Yes, on a daily basis that we communicate with everyone.
But see, but that's what I'm saying. If you've been doing it, the foundation should be set already. You shouldn't be having this problem.
So, where's
The thing is you two, as the leaders of BYS, or Bronson Youth Sports, BYS, you guys set the foundation.
There's only one that's not online.
You guys set the foundation. You guys set a good solid foundation, it can be built up. When I started coaching at Bronson, we had a dedicated 4 kids from 6. They were playing 10U tackle football. My son got hit so hard he had 2 black eyes. But he was 6 years old.
I remember that.
Right, but those kids stayed together. Yeah, losing. Yeah, them kids didn't win a game until they were 12 years old. 12 years old, we played for 3rd place. But there was a foundation that was built, and that built upon it. Everybody had faults. I had faults. I learned from them. I love constructive criticism. I asked for it. Because I can't get better
There's no growth
and
without
do
it.
nothing else with it.
And if
But that's
somebody
what I'm
else wants to
saying.
give it to you.
You
take it.
guys are the foundation.
All day.
I've already told you. I commend everything you guys done. You guys were the only ones who stepped up to take it over.
Absolutely.
Commend you for it. Right? There's some hiccups right now. take tonight, go home, think about it, let it sink in, reach out to, I'm sure he won't mind talking to you to help try to get a plan in place. Just like you said, you gotta have a vision. I know your vision, I know you guys love the youth. I know you guys love the kids. But that's all that's going, just moving forward. Take tonight, let it sink in, write your vision out, move forward. I'll help you with flag. I will do it. Ain't got no problems. I will help build the foundation with you, but I'll be honest with you. If the communication stays like it was tonight, I will walk away after the season. I will never leave a kid where they don't have nobody. I've coached teams because there was nobody to coach a team.
Right.
That's why
Last
I'll
year,
do
we
it
had a
again.
16-year-old and a 17-year-old coach flag because nobody else could do it.
And I tried to reach out to you to umpire a few different times.
Well, umpiring is one thing. I ain't no umpire.
You can take the class for $300. We can always use umpire. Anybody that wants to do stuff.
Class for what?
The umpire class.
16 and up.
Anybody that wants to do umpire clinics can do it. We try to share it out because not just us needing umpires, but the whole voice.
Yeah, you should get certified through paper.
Yeah.
At least.
Which I thought about doing it just because we needed them so
All
bad.
right, so I think Bo basically, Mr. Cox actually summed it up when he said that you have to have some kind of vision, straightforward, and use the people that are helpful, that are helping, and you're gonna have to open up that trust a little bit. Especially but before you do anything else,
You're
you
going
need.
back to what you already printed out instead of taking it in. Just take it in, but every time somebody has told you something, you're like, here it is, I've already printed it out, there you go. That just lets us know that there's not gonna be any change in your mind. Just take it in.
You need to make sure you have a full board of directors. That's a president, a vice president, a secretary, and a treasurer. It does not need to be you. It needs to be more than one person because that is the leadership that start from the top. And then those people work with the commissioners, and then the commissioners work with the coaches. But if you don't have a set thing at the top, then you can't fix the rest of it until you do that. So it has to be set from the top so that that group can help make those decisions. Then those coaches know to go to who I go to get my stuff. Like I don't have any basketball, so I need to know that I need to who I go to. And so you have to have it set up to where it's plain and clear, period. And that's the only way that you're gonna do it. That's the stuff that you can fix. And then, then work on getting volunteers. Use the school, use other stuff. You have kids here who y'all are not used to.
Which we do try to reach out about the student volunteer fund.
I mean, they used to give a scholarship. Make that scholarship, offer it to kids for getting, so if you work this many hours from now to the 12th grade, that's how you apply for this scholarship. They used to give out 2 every year, but you had to have played in the youth league for so many years, and you had to have volunteer hours. Who don't like free money? That don't cost you anything. And a lot of times those kids are athletes who already know how to run this or how to do that. You got to tap into it. That softball team could be working some concession stands now so that they be prepared for next year. Those kids who are out of season, who are not doing anything, hey, we need y'all's help at the soccer field because for softball, we're going to need to spend $2,000 to send y'all to wherever. So, hey, we start earning this money now. It doesn't have to be in season. You have to take advantage of that.
And honestly, like the way that you set up the stuff for the World Series, it really seems like you took off way more pressure off of a lot of parents than you should have.
A lot of them.
And if that is the way that you're running the whole rec league, there's an issue because you're putting too much pressure on yourself and not enough on these parents. And if you're not going to take accountability for it, then you're gonna need to come up with some kind of like, fund for people that don't pay. And it could be like a little scholarship fund for people that don't pay, and it's just for kids, and that does not include everybody. Like, the other parents can't get wind of, you're just paying for them because their parents aren't paying. You know what I mean? It's kids that you see in the community who are very passionate about whatever they're trying to play, and their parents are not paying attention to that, maybe.
And it's not the same people
Over and over again. Yes. And also, it seems like the morale has drifted away from coaches. Like back in the day, coaches used to talk to all the kids that they saw that, hey boy, you got some big legs, you playing football this season, you know, come on, call me, talk to me, you know, let's get together.
Absolutely.
And that needs to come back too. You know, oh boy, you 6 foot, 12 years old, I need you on my team, boy, you know, or girl, or whatever. But we need that to come back too. We have to get personable about this. Have to.
Is there...
And thank y'all for doing the stuff that you did with soccer. We just need that to be contagious. It need to catch on.
Well, we're trying, you know, we've got, I mean, since we started, other parents have kind of followed suit, and they've gotten, you know,
Keep preaching
involved
how it's
in,
helped your program and how it's helped the kids come back. Because that's been a lot of the people's problem is, well, my neighbors go to Williston, so why would I come over here to Bronson? People brand new coming to Bronson, like, oh, I hear nothing but bad things.
There's a lot of good things happening in the soccer part right now.
Does the city have a plan B in case, because Angela and Scott, they're human. So if they leave this meeting right now and say, you know what, I'm done with this. What's the city gonna do if they decide to back out?
Do the kids just...
Do we have a...
Somebody else will start another program.
Who's that somebody, because nobody...
All it would take is for them to stop and somebody else will start another program. That's how it works.
That's how
right now, nobody showed up for that. I mean...
No, but...
I'm willing to coach.
I'm just telling you, that's how it works.
Well, I hear you, that's how it works, but right now, like I said, with all this meeting that happened, I wouldn't be mad at her if she said, I don't want to do this no more.
Right.
So, if that happens, when
she has that right to do that.
No, I know that, I'm saying, but what will happen, what the Bronson will do after that, for that?
Somebody else will start another program. That's what happens every time.
She said that she's not gonna do that, but even if she decided to, she has to give 60 days.
So the next season has to finish.
Weren't you on the board with Mr. Markham when he started up the program?
When he was president of it when I started working on it, he was.
Yeah, somebody else will create another program. That's how that happens. And really, it's not gonna take long for, you'll figure out who the next person is.
What's crazy to me is that so many people complain about them, this and that, but there's nobody here that wants it.
But listen, it doesn't matter who runs it, when the city run it, before the city run it, after the city run it, as long as I can remember, there's always going to be a group, or there's always going to be somebody that have something negative to say, and you say, well, I didn't see you work at none of the games, I didn't see you there. Which is that's the first thing that's with anything you do. That's whether it's rec, that's whether it's school, that's whatever. People hate our schools and they ain't never been to high school.
Which is why
the teachers are all horrible. You don't know nothing about it. You didn't go there, your kids don't, then you don't know nothing about it. And so that's what he was saying. That's the stuff you have to learn how to take. It's like I'm a teacher. You hate my class, but you ain't never been in my class. So, okay, well, you can hate it. I don't really care. I'm still going to do what I do. And that's what he was saying. That's the attitude that you kind of have to develop.
But when there's poor leadership, you have people that are not willing to throw money anymore. They're not willing to throw time anymore. They're not willing to do this and that, because as everyone in here has said, we got to go home and feed our kids. So when you have poor leadership, it affects everything because it trickles down. So if you create an atmosphere where people don't want to be there, they're not going to be there. They're going to go anywhere else but there. And I'm not saying it directly towards you. I'm just saying that
I agree and understand. I just feel like in Wilson and Chiefland, they're just going to quit and go start an organization. They're gonna come and do part of the organization and get voted on the board, and then they are running.
That's because they believe in the leadership and they feel like they're not doing enough. If the leadership was doing the way it should be, then every volunteer would feel like they are not doing enough. What can I do to help these people?
And these neighboring things, it's the same several people I'm hearing at the top of the leadership, not just the husband and wife, and nobody on this goes to board. Like, I mean, I know I've met the people, but they don't show up to the things.
And every community has problems. It's not, that's, the problems in the league is not specific to Bronson. Every community that have a league or have an organization have problems. Our problem's just on the front street right now. Next week, it'll be 2 weeks from now, it'll be somebody else. And I know that is from being involved in it. They had this issue over in Williston. They had that issue over in Chiefland. This group don't want to play with that group. It's the same thing. So everybody has problems. What we have to do is have solutions. And so that's right now. It's the stuff that you can work on. That's what you need to work on.
But you guys have a whole lot of optimism in your favor from the city that other places do not have. Let me just say that I don't really think that you understand how much of a blessing that you have. The park that y'all have is phenomenal compared to other parks. Not only is it phenomenal, but the town is assisting you. The town is not assisting Chiefland. The town is not assisting Williston. Like, these people have to come up with their own fees. They have to pay their own way. They have to go out and cut their own grass sometimes. Like, maybe not all the time, but sometimes. Where there's a will, there's a way. Like, you really have a lot of positive that you can utilize.
I believe that we can get a stronger base.
You gotta start with the
It
basics.
just can't
what
all
you
be
need
you
is a
guys.
base.
You guys are just spread too thin. It just can't all
I feel like they burnt out. I thought Scott personally said this, man. I feel like you guys are a little burnt
Shit
out.
is broke last year because of how much shit they
Come to the meetings, how can you vote them in? I mean, we had a meeting last week, that's why we had one board member down, because we had a meeting, we voted for someone, they said they weren't sure. There was nobody else there that said they would do it, because nobody else.
So, Angela, I'm gonna say this. You're gonna have to get on the phone and be willing to listen and hear somebody. Like, a person said to you, hey, I think you'd be a good candidate for the board. You may have to make that personal phone call and say, and then be willing to listen when they say, well, I don't want to be on the board because I feel like you don't listen. And hear that. Okay, well, how do you feel like, how can I fix that? How can I change that? You're gonna have to have some of those conversations with people that you know would be good for it, because sometimes you have to do that. And that's what a leader does. Okay, I know that Susie Brown would be excellent secretary. She's organized, she's got her stuff in order, she knows how to work programs, but she don't ever come to a meeting. So hey, we got a meeting coming up in a couple of weeks and I really need you to be on it. Why are you not on the board? Find out. But listen, you do, sometimes I feel like you listen to respond, not listen to hear. And that's a difference. So when I listen to hear, like you're doing now, like you're doing now, you're listening, you're not, already thinking about what you're gonna say. It's a difference. And so I think that people feel like you guys listen to respond. So why do I talk to you and put that in if you're not gonna hear me? And so that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it takes those tough conversations, and we all have to have them if you're gonna be in a leadership position. And so that's all I'm saying. The only way to get some of this stuff off of your back is you're gonna have some conversations that you probably really don't wanna have. But if that conversation will get that person to come in and take some of this load off of me, it's definitely worth it. That's what I'm saying.
But we can't lose no more kids, and we shouldn't have lost the ones to Chiefland. And honestly, to be square and straight up honest with you, you should have been on the phone trying to figure out what you could do to not lose the kids. Even though
we even lost a lot of soccer to Williston.
Even though
We did not, they came back.
Even though football is not your thing. The last time we had this conversation, you ended with saying, the only reason why y'all feel like that is because we don't have football. You literally said that. And that was not the issue. And honestly, right now, with football football isn't the issue, it was the safety of the children that was the issue.
See, and
So,
Mr. Taylor never expressed that, and we, all the way up until like during that meeting that night, when we had the meeting with the parents at 6 o'clock, it was all of the agreeants, all of the parents, everybody were on the same page, we're moving forward. I told them I would get the gear out that night if they wanted. I'll order the 15 or 16 uniforms, not 30, but 15 or 16, and we'll move on. Parents said they wanted Mr. Taylor. He came, and that's when all the stuff went haywire, and they all left. We had that. Scott stepped back
He
and
came
said,
and
look,
showed
I
up.
won't be involved
He
at
said,
all.
I'll coach, but I'm not coaching for them ever again.
Yes.
And he was like, if you're coming with me, I'm going to Chiefland.
I mean, we did everything we could, and we even said we won't be involved.
But again, I feel like that's
I'm
in charge
saying,
of
we
that.
cannot lose any more kids. We
I
can't.
agree. I don't know how.
I mean, I
And
could have
that's
told
definitely
you
not
no,
gonna
he
really-
called me
He called
and
and asked
said,
if
hey,
it was okay.
before I take these kids, I wanna know it's okay with you. And I was like, there's nothing I can do. If they said that if you don't stay, they don't wanna be here. And so in my eyes, I wanna see the kids play.
So I met
And
everybody the
so
next
I
night
told
so they
him.
could get a refund, so they had their money to give to Chiefland, so they could guaranteed still play. No, I don't want them in Chiefland, I want them in Bronson, but I don't know what I could have done other than beg Mr. Taylor out there when he was screaming that he wouldn't coach for us. I mean, we already had said we would give, we already had backed off and said we won't be involved, we'll let them be involved, you have full access. I mean, those are times when I'm not sure, no, we shouldn't have lost.
Is he your football commissioner, your person over
He
football?
was.
And now, because of that, they've said that we just won't have football anymore.
We never said we want to have football,
I-
we just don't have a football.
We had
commissioner
nobody
at this
to
time.
do it.
Or
I mean,
someone equipped knowledge-wise, because it is dangerous.
Honestly, it's almost like we can't.
Exact words. were,
Until somebody
"We
steps
never done
up.
football."
Until somebody steps up and says they can do it, they can do it. And you know, we can't offer it.
So who's your person over the flag? Who's your person over the flag?
Well, he was gonna do the flag and the.
But if you have flag now, I just signed up for flag, who do I answer to?
It's technically
Well,
Scott.
technically, it may be unless you wanna step up a little further.
I am, she said she needed
Our
two
commissioners,
coaches.
yeah.
I'm coach, I just wasn't, but see, I think that's what Ms. Schuler was just asking. Who is your person over football? Because
Right.
football is just not tackle. It's
Right,
flag,
well,
too.
a couple weeks
So
ago,
we-
it was him. And when he backed out, then I gotta step up. I'm gonna step up anywhere I'm needed. In flag, I will step up to flag because they're not tackling. It's not as dangerous of a sport.
This is honestly because I gotta go, because I gotta go work tomorrow. But,
Same.
if anything tonight, everybody knows the mistakes that we made in the past, guess what? Once you make it, don't make the mistake again. There's nothing but a bright future ahead. Just keep working, keep doing what you're doing.
Right,
This
don't
gentleman
stop.
here, this lady here, they're gonna do it. Like I said, I'll come, I'll help this year, but just keep going. We know what mistakes we made, now let's move forward, because you can beat this dead horse to death all night if you want.
Take another round.
Let's see. Sue?
Oh, she's still there?
Yeah.
I thought she was asleep.
Is on the, is this on our regular agenda for Tuesday night already? Okay. That's the only thing I had.
As far as the goals being moved tomorrow, do I need to be there?
Yeah, I already got you.
No, Curtis will take care of
Curtis
it.
will take care of it.
Hey, guys, I just gave you my number to call me, right?
Yeah, he just said you need to be here.
Yeah, just call me.
Okay, I got it. I got your number.
And if you can't get in touch with Curtis, call City Hall and talk to one of us, and we'll get the message to
I
her.
got his number now, so I really got to call him.
We'll talk after.
Yeah, that's why I gave you my number.
All right.
All right, I think we beat this horse long enough.
But I appreciate it.
This
This is the first time I've ever had a productive meeting like this, like where it feels like people actually care about the kids. Like people only care about what they're doing wrong and they
Yes,
don't
we'll
care about
definitely be
helping
together,
for the
so-
kids. So I appreciate this. I feel like this was needed.
Thank you.
Was that the final bang?
Yeah.